bit and got some sunshine and on all three right now. So hello Facebook, hello Twitter, hello YouTube. And pretty soon we're actually going to have another outlet, but you can get us on all of those. You can also get me on AM and FM radio and on the streaming TuneIn app. So before I left, of course, we did plenty of high school basketball, both at the sectionals and regionals level, and everybody lost by regionals around here, so we were unable to go to the semi-state or state. We kind of knew that was going to happen. We were blessed with some amazing sectional basketball because a lot of the teams were kind of even. And I would say, you know, it's hard to tell which one was best, but it really played out. It was a real high point for all the young guys who participated. It was also kind of cool to put it on people's phones and video. It took a lot of work, so I knew right when that was sectional was done, I was going to go on vacation for a week. So I did it, and I'm back with you guys. All right, let's take a look right now. 33 degrees here in the Calumet region, going up to a high. Let's call it about, let's say 47 degrees, but we should have some sunshine. And then tomorrow, a high of only 41, some clouds roll in. And then here it is, late March. You're talking about some possible snow going forward. Well, I wouldn't call it snow. Let's just call it a high of 37 tomorrow. My fault. 37 tomorrow, 37 on Wednesday. And then by Thursday, get up in a high of 44. All those days, though, it gets down to about freezing or below overnight. So kind of still pretty cold around here. Weather this morning brought to you by our good friends at Laborers Local 41, which I'm looking very much like a Laborers 41 guy with some Hassey Construction safety wear on right now. And I'm telling you why that I am very proud to look like a construction worker standing out here talking on the radio, and that I once was a member of that fine union. Talked to a couple guys who are members of Local 4 over in Illinois yesterday when I went over to Strachan Van Til's. Hey, what's going on? Big truck, big truck. Hey, let's take a look at what's going on in traffic. It's been pretty light so far this morning as I just kind of meandered out of bed and couldn't find the keys, and you get the idea. But in the end, we were able to make it in here as the daughter had hidden the keys. Hey, 294 around the city looks pretty good. 80 going east and west looks good. Bishop Ford, Dan Ryan, Skyway, Toll Road, Borman, I-65. Hey, they're all moving along pretty well. You know, you heard it right here on, by the way, traffic is brought to you by Napleton River Oaks Honda, proudly serving Northwest Indiana with superior customer service. You heard right here on AM 1230 and on 104.7 FM yesterday the Purdue Miracle win yesterday as they were able to beat Butler Bulldogs by, I think, 3 points, right? Yeah. I can't remember now, 75-72, something like that. But it was very close right at the end, and Dakota Mathias took the ball and hit perhaps the biggest three of his basketball career. Hey, big truck! And that means that Purdue goes forward and is going to play Texas Tech. And we're very much looking forward to having that game here on WJOB on Friday. Thanks to our many sports sponsors who stepped up to sponsor the high school boys and to sponsor Purdue basketball here on the voice and face of the region. Another big truck, Republic Services. What's going on, man? All right, so we're going to see a Waste Management one come by here. We're going to smell one come by. Isn't that crazy? Republic goes by and I can smell that thing. And then we'll have a Waste Management one. And then there's another waste outfit. Big truck, I have not, I can't remember the name of it. Anyways, if you want to get a hold of me, 219-845-1100. You could call in or you could text us to that line. And then, of course, underneath the Facebook, Christina Cortez and Andrew Garcia are watching the Facebook comments. So if there's anything that I need to know, I don't even know where to start. There is so much stuff on the table. You guys may have talked about it. I unplugged from WJOB for about 7 days, and that was a pretty good feeling. And I did a lot of homework last night saying, all right, well, what happened while we were gone? And they I have such a good team now that they pretty much run it without me. And after Monday of last week, they didn't text me at all with anything, or maybe once or twice. And so I really don't, I guess, hey, what's up? Keep it beeping. They're keeping their beeping. How you doing out here, by the way? A lot of people going to work, just sitting there in their cars, listening away. Hey, thanks for beeping. I appreciate it. Back in the region. I guess just 2 days ago, I was waking up in Fort Lauderdale or Key West, one of those two. And Alexis and I got a little tans, and you just got to get away for a while. Just reminds you of a John Cougar Mellencamp song, Vacation Down in the Gulf of Mexico. But what's going on around here? What's going on in our country? No, that's too big a one. Let me take it what's going on around here. Walkout last week at some area schools. And what are they walking out on? And they're walking out on the excess of guns, or I guess sympathy or empathy with the shooting victims of the Parkland Stoneman Douglas High shootings. And hey, what's going on? Big trucks are everywhere. God, that's one thing I missed in Florida. It's just a bunch of cars driving around. And last week I did miss the walkout, and I'm sure that you guys talked about it and we covered it. What did it mean? Did it do anything? I guess in a couple other places there was some discord. Maybe people who are more pro-gun were not happy that the people who were questioning guns were marching and walking out. So I don't know if is it a matter of questioning guns? If you're a gun owner and you say you carry a pistol, okay, and you're aware that people can buy basically war guns, semi-automatic rifles, and shoot like that. Did you ever listen to the video of the Las Vegas shootings? I mean, not the video, the audio. There's all sorts of clips that are around from people who are taking cell phone video. And I've seen some of those. But I was listening to some radio, and they just played some of the audio of it. And I'm not altogether sure that the audio doesn't tell more of the story. I'm like, wow, it can shoot that fast and that continuously. I guess I already knew that. I've shot a semi-automatic, but without the part that makes it go semi-automatic. It just kind of shoots like a rifle. And, I couldn't believe the accuracy that even I was having. I grew up shooting a 30-06 and a 240 Winchester, and that was many years ago. And then I went shooting, a couple years ago on one of these semi-automatics with one of these just beautiful rangefinders on it. Went out there to Willow Slough and shot at that range. And I'm like, wow, it's amazing the accuracy you can get even after all these years of my eyesight. I was right on that target. And I was never that great of a shot anyways. Maybe killed a deer or boar or so. I just kind of, I don't know if it was lost interest or just didn't have enough time. I know that you got to either choose golf or hunting, and I chose golf. But anyways, what is going to happen? I was thinking about this yesterday, and I was reading up on the walkouts, and and then 60 Minutes yesterday had interviews with, let's see, 5 of the more active students in the Parkland shooting aftermath. They knew people who were killed. They were there in the school when it happened, and they've been able to get a movement afoot to take a look at semi-automatic weapons and certain, how things are bought and background checks and jump stops. I forget what the name of it, stock barrels or whatever. And some of the, I guess there was a change in Florida law that has already been made. And I started to think about it. I'm like, all right, well, you have a lot of guys and gals driving around right now. Hey, how are you? Waving at me, and many of them may have a gun in their lockbox of their car, or they may have a gun on their ankle, depending on who they are, and that may make them feel safe. And I started thinking about two things. If you're a gun owner and all you have is a pistol, and then somebody else is able to buy a war machine, are you for or against limitations on being able to buy the big, basically machine guns and walk around, have a machine gun in your house? I don't know what the answer to that is. Anybody want to tell me that? Is anybody, in for a gun owner who wants a review of our gun laws? Is there, or is it like once you own a gun, you're like, nope, can't have any restrictions? Because I think logically it would be like, man, I'm only carrying a pistol, and if somebody has a semi-automatic rifle, then they're crazy, then that's not a good thing. It's not a fair fight. Maybe not. The second thing, I'm starting to think, and I watched that 60 Minutes thing, and then I've asked my nieces and nephews and my daughters and some of their friends over time. I'm like, well, what do you think about guns? Well, we have too many guns in our society. And it's almost across the board amongst young people. So what happens if these younger folks who are not happy with the infiltration of our society with guns grow up? What happens then? And then all of a sudden they're starting to grab power. What does that mean? I don't even want to know, because that would be a cataclysmic confrontation of political forces, and it is possible. And that is, I'm looking forward maybe 10 or 12 years saying, well, what exactly, if you get a bunch of people who aren't the same way, hey, what's going on? Aren't the same way as maybe my generation or even the generation behind me or in front of it, where it's like, guns are, bad. People are bad, not guns. And I get that. And that's kind of the overriding generality. All right, what else is going on? Did you guys see that in the trial of James Snyder, that the Portage mayor, I guess he's still Portage mayor and he's under federal indictment, that in 2014 he hired a lawyer when the feds started looking at him, a lawyer by the name of Kirsch. Yes, the same Tom Kirsch, who is now the head of the federal Northern District of Indiana. So that creates a bit of a problem, because Kirsch was once James Snyder's lawyer, and now he's the head of all the prosecutors over here at the Northern District. So evidently he has recused himself, and the Chicago district is going to oversee that. But as far as I read it, they're not going to use their own attorneys. Big truck, big tanker truck. They're not going to use their own attorneys. They're going to use Jill Coster and Phil Benson. Now, those are well-known Northern Indiana attorneys. Hey, what's up, man? Good seeing you. Man, you keep that Chevy so clean. I'm so proud of you. You think you could come over and clean off our Ford? What do you think? I got a Ford Fusion. By the way, when we were down there, we rented a Ford Fusion. And what a difference, man. That is a really nice car. And anyways, I don't have a Ford sponsor, do I? So forget that. Your Honor, please have that stricken from the record. But so you've got Phil Benson, and what the Snyder's attorneys are trying to do is they're trying to get Phil Benson outlawed from being able to be the lawyer on that case. And here's why. They're saying that the government illegally took communication between Snyder and Tom Kirsch when Kirsch was when he was a lawyer. They took all of his emails, and some of those emails were between Snyder and Tom Kirsch. So the feds got to look at them, and they're saying, wow, we didn't tell the prosecutors what was in them and so forth. So, you really got to be careful because there is attorney-client privilege, and when you start giving a little bit of, you start messing with those basic rights, then you got some issues. So they are trying to do what many people before them, Buntich, Philpott, that's all that's coming to mind right now, but there's probably 8 or 10 very visible cases in which Bulldog Benson was the attorney. And I went and watched the Buntich trial, as you guys well know, and I told you that Phil Benson is at the top of his game. He really is. I mean, it's, when you're in, you're watching somebody that knows their stuff and is good at what they're doing. And I could see why James Snyder wouldn't want Phil Benson on the case. I don't know if that's been adjudicated and if there's been a decision made if Phil Benson will be able to be the attorney on that. But, just reading that, maybe they have a point, because there's so many fine lines to tap dance around if you're to make sure that James Snyder gets a fair trial. And if you've already seen the emails between him and his attorney, and the attorney is now the head of the Northern District of Indiana, I mean, you got all sorts of little lines you got to watch there. And, I wonder what the outcome will be on that. I will tell you this, I'm reading that last night in the Times. They did a great article on it, and all I'm thinking is, Bulldog Benson, nobody wants to see him in a courtroom. Anyways, I'm standing out here on Indianapolis Boulevard with a tan that will fade in about 1 or 2 days because I'm just basically a pale white guy, and that will go. But I'm going to walk right out into the middle of Indianapolis Boulevard. It's one of my favorite things to do. 147 years ago, my forefathers walked from the north down this road to find a place to live after the Chicago fire. And here I am talking all these years later. And here comes a car. Let's see if they're going to beep or even move out of the way. How you doing? What's happening? Life is good if you let it be. I'm a beeper, you're a beeper, beep, beep, beep. I have no idea who I have. They don't tell me until I sit down, and then they go, hey, you got to interview the senator in like 5 minutes. I'm like, really? What am I supposed to talk about? Hey, what's happening? Good to see you. Hey, your horn's still working. That's a good thing. And then I'm pretty sure my childhood chump, Billy Baker, will come in about 7:15, and he'll go, hey, Jimmy, and I'll go, hey, Billy. And then life will move on. And then about 8 o'clock, I'll get out of here, and then we'll have some parts of the Community Programming Initiative. That's when people pay us to come on the airwaves and to come on Facebook video. And then what else? And then I'll teach class today at 11 o'clock, sports broadcasting. And then the day will just move on because it's a beautiful thing to be here on the radio in the region. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to go inside, get all set up here on the voice and face of the region. Click! Click!
From the Strack & Van Til Studios, your local Strack & Van Til has some great products on sale this week. Here's a few items you might want to add to your shopping list. Green and red seedless grapes, $1.49 a pound. O'Brien's Premium Flat Cut Corned Beef Brisket, $2.88 a pound. Green cabbage, 25 cents a pound. Strack & Van Til, proud to be Indiana made and dedicated to being Indiana's grocery store.
Hello everybody, this is Raimundo Garcia speaking. You know, the busboy from El Taco Real. I'm here at WJLB to announce that I am not the most interesting man in the world. I use bar soap when I shave. I once ate a hot dog with ketchup on it. I put my jeans on one leg at a time. When I drink beer, I sometimes drink Dos Equis. Sometimes I drink Corona. Sometimes I drink margaritas, and sometimes I drink Bordeaux. I don't always eat Mexican food, but when I do, I eat at El Taco Real. At El Taco Real, you can get Dos Equis, Corona, great margaritas, as well as fine wine. So when you want great Mexican food, go to El Taco Real. I'm the busboy, Raimundo Garcia, and not the most interesting man in the world. El Taco Real is located on Hoffman Street between Calumet and Columbia Avenues in beautiful North Hammond, Indiana. We're open Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 11 till 10, Friday and Saturday from 11 to 11, and Sunday from 11 till 9. Stay hungry, my friends.
Ogren Insurance has been serving the area since 1947 and provides insurance for life, home, auto, business, and more. If you're looking for one-on-one service, the best rates, knowledge, and experience, Ogren Insurance is your agency. Our number one goal is to provide you with the coverage you need at the most competitive price. To learn about the insurance solutions and services we offer in Indiana, Illinois, and Michigan, call 219-933-0076 or see our website, ogreninsurance.com. Ogren Insurance, 6929 Holman Avenue in Hammond. Accidents happen. Be protected with Ogren Insurance.
Not only does Catering by Steve's cater for all occasions, Steve's in Hegewisch has expanded their all-you-can-eat Lenten fish fry on Fridays from 11:30 a.m. to 8 p.m. during Lent. Don't forget trivia every Friday as well. Stop in for some delicious Lenten specials and sample our large selection of craft beers. We also have banquet rooms for your special occasion. Bring your family to enjoy our Easter Sunday brunch on Sunday, April 1st. Call 773-646-1071 to make your reservation. See all we have to offer at cateringbysteve.com, serving the Calumet region since 1958.
Hi, I'm Mary Eastep, Athletic Training Outreach Coordinator for Community Healthcare System Sports Medicine Program. Our fellowship-trained, board-certified experts are ready to treat the athlete in you. Whether it's pain or injury from activity on the court, in the field, or in your everyday life, we offer services and locations throughout Northwest Indiana. Visit our website to learn more at comhs.org/sports.
All right. Pretty good. All right, I got to put a little, forget it. What's happening, everybody? AM 1230, WJOB in Hammond, Indiana. I'm Jim Diedlow, host of JED in the region. And I'm putting some stuff together here to talk with you guys. And it's just good to be back. I missed you. Hopefully you missed me a little bit, huh? And we're all back in the game. Billy Baker's going to come back in. We're going to talk about endorsements by the Lake County, Lake County Democratic Party. I got my Ironworkers Local 395 hat on. And how's that sound, Christina? Can you monitor it? I am going to wear my walk-around mic because every day we become more and more of a television show versus a radio show, because we're on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter right now. And where do you want me to stand? Over here more, huh? Is this better? I like it right in front of the TV. And then if you guys were here tomorrow, which I don't think you are, that TV would be on. All right, there you go. And Lakamahanya. So, Christina, someone has to update that one. There you go. The movable camera's got to come over here. All right, so what's happening on traffic? 294 around the city looks pretty good. 80 going east and west looks good. Bishop Ford, Dan Ryan, Skyway Toll Road, Borman I-65. Hey, they're all moving along well, and we should be happy for that. It's a good Monday to drive around. Don't forget that we're going to start some major construction projects, so enjoy it while it's there. Yeah, I don't see much even at the merge. Maybe a little brake stopper at the Bishop Ford as you turn to go on the Randian. All right, so let me adjust this thing, huh? There you go. Is that a little bit better? We've got Dan Carden at 645. Jim Slagle of the Carpenters is just going to stop by and say, hey, dude, what are you doing? Carpenters Local 599, of course, a big sponsor here. All right, I got to re-up this. Sorry about all that scratchy sound. And there you go. All right, I used to be good at this, but the chain, there you go. Right about there. That sounds way better, doesn't it? Yeah, no more scratchy. All right, and then at 7:20, Billy Buzzkill Baker's coming in. Traffic brought to you by our good friends at Napleton River Oaks Honda, proudly serving Northwest Indiana with superior customer service. Christina Cortez is here. She is our video wunderkind. And so you're going to get some different, darn it, I don't know what to do with this thing other than maybe hold it. How does that sound, huh? You know what it is that they tell you when you put a lavalier microphone on, don't ever put it on your sweater. You ever notice that? Yeah, it's one of the things they tell you is they want you on it on the shirt, not on the sweater. And I forgot that. and I put it there. All right, so I also want to tell you about this, that pursue your passion with a degree from Aurora University online. Choose fully online programs in business, computer science, and more. To learn more, visit online.aurora.edu. Thanks a lot to the ironworkers for paying for me to go outside and stand out there and talk along Indianapolis Boulevard in a little bit of the cold. And the NCAA tournament and all of the high school has been brought to you by a number of people, and one of those is Johnny's Tap. Thanks a lot. You can, if you're looking for a place to go watch a game, that's it. Hey, a high of 48 today, sun, then some extended clouds later, but for a while you get some high of 48. It should be a nice day. And then tomorrow, high of 39, partly sunny and breezy. And then Wednesday, a high of 39, partly sunny and chilly. And then by Thursday, a high of 40, mostly sunny and chilly. And then by Friday, it gets a little bit warmer, turning cloudy and chilly. You know, I remember in high school having a high school baseball game scheduled for, I want to say, like March 27th. And I guess it would be the irony of the situation was on March 27th, there was about 12 inches of snow on the ground. So it's not like we never get these late March, early April snowstorms, but we don't have one in the next 5 days coming our way. And weather is brought to you by our good friends at Ironworkers Local 395. They build stuff. I've got a nice Ironworkers Local 395 hat that I stole out of the apprenticeship training place in Lake Station, or is that Portage? I guess it's Lake Station. All right, what do we have to talk about today? There's so much that I missed while I was gone. I was gone for a week. Thanks a lot to Dave Kuziak. Thanks a lot to Rick Kubik and Kat Marlowe. And then, of course, you had Sam Michael took a day, and Verley Suggs took a day. It takes a village to cover a morning radio station show, and we did it. Big news, of course, is that Purdue moves on to the Sweet 16. They will be playing in Boston on Friday. I don't have a time on that yet, but we will have the game, and that is because of many sponsors like Community Healthcare, BP, and NIPSCO, who stepped forward to sponsor not just the video of high school basketball, but also Purdue's run through the tournament. We very much appreciate it. All right, so let's talk about a couple things that I missed while I was gone. All right, what about let me? You know what? I could just start grabbing them at just a random pace, but we started to talk about the James Snyder thing, but what about the one in St. John? And you know what? You think that when you look at politics and you look at people getting into politics, and I have been looking at politics since 1985, off and on. I pretty much dropped out at even understanding what was going on here for about 20 years maybe. But I worked here in the middle 80s, and I learned the game under the tutelage of Larry Peterson, and I am proud to wear that badge. And I learned some under Irv Lewin and a number of other names that you would not recognize unless you're just like a long-time WJOB head. And, you know, it was a certain detachment and I guess just a little curiosity about politics here in Lake County that I learned from both of them. And that is that it's almost, you ever see a cat play with a ball of yarn? And it's almost that mentality. Until you get to a point where they will open up to you just a little bit, maybe at the company Christmas party or, you know, when there's nothing going on, and they'll talk to you and they'll let you know how to kind of deal with it. And I had a number of run-ins because I didn't understand how it worked here in the mid-'80s. And quite frankly, there's not that many changes. The only change is is that of all the people that were here in the mid-1980s when I worked at WJOB as a cub reporter, none of them are in their same positions. Not one. And of course, here I am still talking on the radio, so I guess that gives me the longevity award. But Peterson and Irv Lewin would give you kind of a, you just kind of got to take it as it comes. Almost like a hippie way of looking at Lake County politics, partly as entertainment and partly with a deep respect that some ordinarily good people would get into politics and would just do some nasty, aggressive things. And that was kind of accepted. I mean, most of the people that have been in politics over the many years here in Lake County are good people. And then you've had, 60 people in the last couple decades who have been indicted by the feds. And so then they would have had, somewhat of a flaw going. But for the most part, that's 60 out of thousands of people that have been in office. But even the people that, and I've seen this, and it was brought to my attention by those two individuals, Larry Peterson and Irv Lewin. And I don't talk about the history here that much because I get the feeling that of the people that moved over from Illinois or people who are 35 years old, they don't really care. But I am going to bring this up because it was important to me at the time, and it helped me get along in my job when both of those individuals at one time or another put their arm around me and said, hey, listen, you don't get, I was upset that, I couldn't get information out of East Chicago or out of Lake County Council or even Hammond or wherever, there was like this, like a bunch of people that seemed to me like good people were just kind of being really nasty to me. And they just said, hey, listen, you got to expect it. And when people go into politics, there's a reason that they go into politics because they've got the ability to play nasty around here because that's the only way you get ahead. You got to have that club in your back, okay? And then the second thing is enjoy it, okay? Respect the nastiness, but at the same time enjoy the entertainment. And quite frankly, I'm not altogether sure I've deviated that from the summer of 1985 when both Larry Peterson and Irv Lewin talked to me repeatedly about this stuff. But typically it's on the Democratic side where people are nasty. I'll give you one. Well, I don't want to go on the Democratic side, but here's one on the Republican side, okay? And I don't know, I hadn't really followed this because on Election Day in November of 2015, I believe, a guy by the name of Joe Hero called the show and he said, somebody's stealing signs. And I'm like, okay, well, all right, Joe, well, say what you want to say. And say, well, I think it's town manager Steve Kill is stealing signs. And, people pay money for those signs and so forth. I said, all right, well, okay, well, thank calling in. And then Joe got mad. He's like, well, aren't you going to do something about it? But what do you want me to do about it, man? You just had your say. You call WJOB, you make your allegations, and then you move on. So, and he's like, well, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, all right, well, one of the things I learned also from Larry Peterson was just beware of doing sign-stealing shows stories going into an election. It was kind of like when I just remember just listening to Larry Peterson taking in calls. Okay, so they're stealing a sign at the corner of 173rd and Jefferson. Okay, now did you have a look at the vehicle? Do you know who it might have been? What time did they do it? And then Larry would ask all those questions, and he'd hang up, and he wouldn't do a story on it at all because then he'd hang up. And he goes, I just don't do sign-stealing stories going into the election. I just don't do it. And part of it is being in the media, and I tell these guys this, the younger guys, and I've even told a print reporter recently, don't get played. You know what I mean? I mean, it's easy to get played here in Lake County, and you just got to say, hey, listen, I'm not in your game. I just want to do a little radio or a little TV now, and then I want to go home, and I want to, shoot some baskets in the driveway, and I want to be left alone. A lot of times people don't want to let you do that because there's some nasty going on in the Calumet region. Nasty. It's nasty. Otherwise, normal people, good people, will get into the political arena, and then they realize they got to be nasty. But anyways, here we go. I'm just going to read out of the Times, because typically it's on the Democratic side, and this one's on the Republican side. St. John Town Manager Steve Kill is set to receive a 6-month deferral of prosecution pending a judge's review of charge of conversion of, he's a misdemeanor for stealing 40 political signs in 2015. So basically, in the history of sign stealing stories, when Joe Hero called up that morning, he basically had it right, and as far as I can tell, and saying Steve Kill was stealing signs and he shouldn't be doing that. Here we are, through almost years later, he's going to get adjudicated in court of a misdemeanor for stealing signs. But it gets better. Also in court were several members of the St. John Homeowners Political Action, Political Action Committee. All right, and let's see here. Who oppose any deal that would drop criminal charges against Kill. They provided Judge Shirelli with a lengthy victim statement signed by 20 residents. Now, I have done a lot of stories, and let's see. I started in 84, 85. It must have been 85, I guess. And I've been here off and on, and I've worked for the Times and stuff. I've done thousands, if not tens of thousands. I don't even know. I might have done 100,000. Who knows? Stories. And not once have I ever heard of a victim statement of people who had their political signs stolen. So, once again, Larry Peterson, still around. Irv Lewin, who has passed on. You guys are right, man. You got to sit back and enjoy the entertainment, because here it is. The 4-page statement, Kill is scheduled to appear in Shirelli's court on June 15th. The political signs were put up by the PAC and called for voters to fire Kill, and then some other people who were on the council. The charge stems from 2 St. John residents, Joe Hero and Robert Pastore. Now, they say that they witnessed Kill moving political signs on November 2nd of 2015. Of course, that would have been when Joe Hero called the show. He was, must have been huffing and puffing and running out there. And I think it was like on a baseball field or on some fences or something. Hey, Jed, I just saw Steve Kill stealing some signs. Okay, all right, well, what's that mean? Well, it's illegal. I mean, okay, well, thanks. What are you going to do about it? What do you mean, what am I going to do about it? And he was mad for some reason. I can't remember why. All right, that they had placed on property near Coling Elementary School. All right, the theft was investigated by Indiana State Police. Indiana State Police, please come in and do a sign stealing story, please. And you know what the Indiana State Police is? There was at least one person in there who's been there a long time and said, now listen, we're in charge of policing all of Indiana, and we're a major drug trafficking route because we have so many highways, and we have killings, and we have rapes, and we have ongoing traffic problems, and you want me to go investigate somebody stealing some signs in a political campaign in a 5,000-person town? Maybe 6,000? Yeah, that's what you're going to do. Get up and go do it. Okay, I'm going to go do it. Now, the stuff was investigated by the Indiana State Police, and they was filed with the Lake Superior Court, and blah, blah, blah. You got killed. Yeah, evidently he did steal some signs or take some signs down, and he wasn't supposed to. So he's going to get a misdemeanor. Now, the victim's statement provided to the judge stated it is imperative to hold Kill responsible for his actions. It stated the PAC's disappointment in the decision by the Lake County prosecutor to agree to a plea deal for kill, which they called a sweetheart deal for stealing signs. The PAC stated that paying for the signs was a hardship for many of the donors, the vast majority being elderly, retired residents on a fixed income. The PAC also said in a statement that the sign stealing caused town council candidate John Corbett a potential loss of more than $20,000 in salary for the 4-year term. Each year for the 4-year term, he lost in his bid to become town council. The PAC said Kill should be fined $10,000 and pay the PAC and all its members, blah, 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 blah. Oh. They also requesting the court to enter Kill be prohibited from being employed by a government entity in Indiana for a 10-year period. Now, what'd I tell you? Now, let's come back to that word. It's not just Democrats. Because Democrats in Lake County can play the nasty card, and they're expected to. But what is Joe Hero and Robert Pastore? Does anybody really believe that there was a hardship caused to 20 people because Steve Kill stole 40 signs? I mean, come on, man. Really. And Kill shouldn't have done it, and I don't even know what kind of guy he is, but it just pulls me back to times by, and I'd love to talk to Larry Peterson and Irv Lewin about this one, but they're not around. What else you got here? All right, we had this guy. Did you guys see this dog killer? I know we got a lot of dog fans out there. That's a 23-year-old Hammond man. Evidently, was a relationship gone bad. And the crux of the deal is according to the Times, he is accused of beating 2 small dogs to death around 10:30 a.m. on February 21st. Police say he stole the dogs earlier that day from a Crown Point home occupied by a woman he had attempted to date. The woman told investigators that this guy Priestess out of Hammond here had been trying to date her, but she has stayed off his advances. During an initial hearing, the new charges Friday morning conducted by a teleconferencing system, Priestess began arguing in favor of bond, saying he had attempted to take a lie detector test to prove his innocence. And he continued to talk until his attorney, Steve Alvarez, said, "Hey, Anthony, stop talking," which is a favorite line amongst lawyers. Stop talking. Just stop talking. I get that from my wife once in a while, who's a lawyer. Want to talk about the Fig Bridge? Well, we'll do that. Let's talk to Dave from Gary first. Hi, Dave. How are you? How you been, man?
Welcome back.
I missed you.
Happy belated St. Patrick's Day.
All right.
That's about the only nationality you're not, right? You're like quite a few things.
Yeah, exactly. Just throw it in the mix. And then I hang out with a Mexican every day, so I get a little bit of that rubbing off. So I don't know what you got going. But
yeah,
hey,
but she classes you up a little bit though. You gotta keep her around.
You are correct, man. I'm sorry, I'm eating.
No, it's always nice going down memory lane. All these sign stealing and dog beating, and I'm glad on a beautiful Monday morning that I'm on the road a little early. My bid changed, which is nice. So I got enough whiskers now to start a little earlier, which is always a good thing.
That means you get home a little earlier, and which is a good thing now that you live in Gary because you're closer to the lake.
Exactly, and it was a beautiful weekend to be on the lake. A lot of boats out there, a lot of fishermen. The steelhead are running, so I saw a lot of boats out there. So yeah, the fish are running, and the water's high, and the lake it's been clean as it has in the last 50 years. So it looks it's beautiful out there.
So what's going on?
No, I was just on my way home. I went to the Dan Runyon Memorial last night at Grimmer Middle School. He was the science teacher that tragically passed away of a heart attack. So they had a huge memorial for him, which was really nice. So school and the community put on a memorial celebration, a life memorial at the Grimmer Middle School. So yeah, there was hundreds of people there. And on my way home from that, I love the flashbacks last night, and it was back-to-back McDermott, ex-Sheriff Buntich on there saying, you know, if you're crooked, you should go to jail. I am so glad you recorded all these. I have to tell you, and Heinz listening, and I know he's sat across the desk from you many a times, the convicted felon ex-Sheriff Buntich. He is charismatic, isn't he? You have to admit, he was a pretty charismatic guy.
You know, let's talk about that. Mm-hmm. Okay, and I think this goes not just for me as a radio host, but for you guys as general citizens of Lake County. And that is that, were we taken in by John Buntich? Was I taken in by John Buntich? Absolutely. I mean, I'm like, all right, here's a cop on his way out, and he's just kind of doing some last minute copping on his way out, and then he's going to go on and be kind of like Lake County political guy emeritus. Although these guys tend to stay a little longer than they probably should sometimes.
Sure.
Some of the older ones, but and I'm like, yeah, I'm like, this isn't like an up and coming guy, and then you got to, hey, you know what? I just gonna, I don't really want to joke around with you because you're going to be around for a long time. To some extent, to be honest with you, I have that kind of with McDermott. Is like, all right, this doesn't get too, but I would joke around with Buntich, and I'd see him out at things, and I never my weirdest dream would have thought that what he has been convicted of, he did.
Right.
You know what I mean? But anyways, I don't know.
Well, I know exactly what you mean. I mean, you're pretty street smart. I mean, living in a dumpster in a commune up in Berkeley, right? So you kind of know what's going on and how to feed yourself if you had to. There's two guys. He's one of them. And in hindsight, sure, we could all, treat them like lepers and say, I knew the whole time, right? But you've sat down with them, and there's two guys that I talked to, and I never would have known, and were sucked in because they were so charismatic. One was John Buntich, and the other was George Van Til. Talk about another charismatic guy. You can love him or hate him, right? And hindsight is 20/20. But before everybody knew everything, I had to tell you, I've sat down a couple of times with George Van Til, and he is charismatic, and he could really hit. He really could. I try to keep everyone's at arm's length, but just listening to them, those two guys have the ability to read you instantly and tell you exactly what you wanted to hear. Which is, that's kind of an art form for an elected official. That's that's the best of the best type of salesperson as well. I was in sales for 17 years, man, and it's hard to sell a salesperson, but you just listen to them, and I can honestly say I was the same. I'm going to admit I was sucked in, absolutely. And there were two very charismatic guys that you could sit and have a beer with and listen to for hours. The story.
Yeah, but you see, look at what that is though. Are Buntich and Van Til, which are kind of the last ones that come through of big note. Before that, maybe Philpott. I think the Times recently just did a big thing on it here, going through some of the major prosecutions of Bulldog Benson. And is it the end of an era? In other words, were these guys just doing business how it always had been done, and then they finally got caught for it? You know what I mean?
Yes.
And,
I'm gonna say yes.
And which makes you think that for many years, people were doing business and just kind of taking some money off the top here and taking some money off the top there. Finally, the feds had to do a 4.5-year undercover investigation and basically either ruin or save a guy's life, the Jurgensen guy, and make him an informant. I don't know. Can you imagine how many hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars they did to convict him on 12 grand, 15 grand? You know what I mean? And they did it.
Same with Philpott. Same with Philpott.
Yeah, same. These guys. And why go to that length other than to perhaps close a chapter on a way of doing business around here? I'm hoping that's the case. That the people that are coming up are not learning these techniques. Is Buntich? Did he just do something he learned from predecessors before him? And the same
sure.
same thing with Van Til. I mean, yeah, it's how it's kind of always been done around here.
And things have changed. My mother worked in one of the government offices for years and years and years, and it was it was just completely accepted and wide open that they openly sold campaign tickets and fundraising tickets right over the counter of these offices. And that's the one thing that's really been hot right now, campaigning on the government dime and government time. But
Yeah.
it was wide open, and now how much has it changed? It's changed about 50 feet. They don't do it in the office; they do it in the parking lot. So, things are changing. I know you're optimistic, and is the old guard gone? But it's the ways and means of the Lake County political machines. It's a big ship, and it's going to take a long time to turn, I think. But
that's a good way of putting it. All right, Dave, I got to play some spots, man. Thanks a lot. Talk to you. All right, guys, AM 1230, WJOB in Hammond, Indiana. I'm Jim Dietlow, host of JED in the Region. Christina Cortez and Andrew Garcia hanging out with me this morning. Let's hear from Dave Davila.
Season got you down? Just left the doctor's office and don't want to wait in line at the pharmacy? Hi, this is Ellen from Quick Scripts Pharmacy inviting you to stop into any one of our 3 locations to experience our fast and friendly service to get you out the door and feeling better faster. We accept all insurances, have free local delivery, on-site one-on-one pharmacist consultations, and competitive pricing on generics and over-the-counter products. We are located in downtown Lansing, Illinois, downtown Griffith, Indiana, and our newest location off of 231 in Parrish Avenue in St. John, Indiana. Stop in today.
Ironworkers Local 395, through their contractor employers, the Northwest Indiana Contractors Association, are the workers you see building Northwest Indiana. They are the craftsmen building your schools, hospitals, malls, steel mills, and manufacturing plants. They support local charities, including Trade Winds and Chasing Dreams, and they coach your kids after work and on the weekend. They live, work, and contribute to all of our local communities' economic growth. To find out more about these organizations, visit ironworkers395.com or nwicontractors.org.
What gets you fired up when you think about college? Explore your roar at Purdue University Northwest. With 2 exciting campuses in Hammond and Westville, more than 70 areas of study, and NCAA Division II athletics, Purdue Northwest offers it all at an excellent value. Learn more at pnw.edu and apply today. That's pnw.edu. Join the pride at Purdue Northwest.
Baxter Printing, located at 3837 Ridge Road in Highland, is a family-owned and operated union print shop that has been serving Northwest Indiana for over 60 years. Our list of satisfied customers range from union locals and politicians to the everyday entrepreneur working hard to get their business off the ground. We help make that happen through our expert design and advice, creating everything from every-door direct mailers to business cards and banners. Why don't you let the Tarosi family at Baxter Printing assist you in your next project? Call us today at 923-1999 and hear me say, Baxter Printing.
Not by your radio? Download the TuneIn Radio app on your smartphone and you can stream WJOB's live shows anytime, anywhere. It's that easy.
Sorry about that. I'm back in the saddle, so that means you get dead air Dietlow for a while, then you get some static on the line, and then I was eating during the break here. Hey, can you adjust the cameras? Christina, we're a little bit low here. There you go, right there. Hey, we are going to take a look at traffic and weather, and then we're going to... Hey, Andrew, how are you?
I'm doing good. How about you?
All right, keep saying. How you doing?
Doing fantastic.
All right, yeah, you're all right. I got your, awesome. Get you all set up there. Hey, let's take a quick look at traffic. 294 around the city is moving well. 80 going east and west. That looks pretty good. Bishop Ford, Dan Ryan. I think they're all kind of moving along pretty well right now. I don't see much on the roadways. It's crazy. Maybe a little bit on the Bishop Ford into the Dan Ryan. As it goes, say, 115th up to 103rd, and then onto the southern end of the Dan Ryan, still kind of a little bit heavy. But other than that, Skyway, Toll Road, Borman, I-65 are all moving along pretty well. Traffic brought to you by our good friends at Napleton River Oaks Honda, proudly serving Northwest Indiana with superior customer service. And let's take a look at weather. Not a bad day for, what is today? Is it March 19th? March 19th. On Monday, March 19th, your sunrise isn't until 6:55. That kind of sucks. We get these late sunrises. A good portion of the morning show is done in the dark again. And some sunshine giving way to clouds and seasonably cool. And then warms up for just a little period in the afternoon to about 48 degrees and then drops again overnight. And then tomorrow I have 39 the next 3 days. So a little bit cooler than you would normally like it about now, but at least it's going to be kind of sunny as your normal high is 48 degrees, which it is today. So today maybe you seem so warm, but that's a normal high. Today is a normal March 19th. And weather this morning is brought to you by our good friends at CertifiedElectrician.com. If you're going to have electrical work done, have it done by a union-based electrical contractor. As a matter of fact, I'd like to say special thanks to the 4 trades who have stepped up to sponsor us here in these union-built studios. That, of course, is the laborers, where I am a proud alum of that fine union, ironworkers, carpenters, and electricians. And to all of the rest of you just going along for the ride, I've got a Bronx cheer for you. But you guys will all you'll all wind up supporting the local media company, because we are the local media company. But until then, you get a Bronx cheer. Andrew Garcia, how you been, man?
I'm hanging in there. It's been an interesting week or so with finals, so just kind of finishing up. Still have a big paper to write, but it's due Thursday, so I got a little time.
Andrew Garcia, of course, is the pride of Andrean High School. And you grew up in where? Cherville?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Did you go to St. Mike's?
I do. No, I didn't go to the school. I went to Grimmer Middle School before I went to Andrean.
Which elementary did you go to?
I went to Homan.
Oh,
over right there at the corner on Joliet.
Joliet and...
I believe that's Austin.
So downtown?
Yeah.
Really?
Yep. Right down the street from St. Mike's as you're going towards Griffith.
My cousin Dwayne, the former mayor of Hammond, was it always called Homan? Seems to me it had a different name, but he went to that grade school back in the 60s. And Jerry Shube, a guy named Jerry Shube, who went on to be a...
yeah, I know the name. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, he was a football coach, and he was down in... I don't know what he had to do with that school, but... yeah, it's a nice. So you live somewhere near downtown Cherville, then?
Yeah, right by St. Mike's Church. Yeah.
Okay, and then you went to Andrean, and now you're in your next to last
final.
Quarters.
This is my final quarter. Next Monday starts the final quarter.
Yeah, if you guys don't know how DePaul works, he goes to DePaul and has been doing work with us. But before we do that, we have to. Can you put the camera on, Andrew, directly? Is there a way to do that? Because we have some congratulations in order. As you guys well know, we're able to produce some amazing talent here. Christina Cortez over here has been with me since she was 16. All right, it might have been 15, but don't tell any authorities. But she has gone on to do some amazing video work, and she wants to be a film director one day, and she will be. And for now, she's spinning the dials for our show here. And you guys know the kind of talent that comes through here, but pretty sure we haven't had somebody who has been denoted as doing the best play-by-play in America at the student level. And that is what happened with Andrew Garcia recently. Congratulations, man.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that. You know, it was really nice. So every year we send stuff to the Intercollegiate Broadcasting System. So I sent them a package for a women's basketball game I did last year against Marquette. And, you know, I thought it was a pretty good package, but it was so disappointing that they had a chance to win at the buzzer at the end and they missed the shot. And I was just like, that would have just topped it off and put a cherry on top if I would have been able to go get crazy excited for a buzzer beater like that. But, you know, I mean, it was, like I said, it was really exciting. It's an award that our station generally doesn't win at Radio DePaul Sports. And I think for us to be able to get that one was really, not just, what I put into it. I think it was everybody's effort in that as well.
So specifically, the intercollegiate broadcasting system is kind of a big deal amongst student broadcasters. And Andrew submitted. He works for Radio DePaul Sports, and he kind of fills in for Sam and Ryan when they need it and they wanted a day off. They know they can get Christina and Andrew in here, and I'm not going to say anything because they're quality professionals. But Andrew, you announced the game for Radio DePaul Sports. It was women's Marquette game, and then DePaul Marquette game, which is like the biggest game because they're a huge rival. And so you send it to intercollegiate broadcasting system, and then you don't hear anything for a long time.
You don't, and then eventually because again they get it from places all over the country, and then they list the finalists and they put it like in a PDF document, and they have the awards given out in New York. So we sent some people to New York, and I was on my way back from a Going Pro event at DePaul, which I was actually taking a look at a bunch of different things in sports and learning about kind of getting a PR side of everything. So it was pretty interesting from a broadcasting standpoint to see what the PR side of sports careers are like. So I'm in the car home on the way home with my parents because I forget what I was coming home for. And so my friend texted me. He's like, hey, because we have a bunch of different Facebook group chats that we talk in, and one of them is a manager's thing, so we all stay in contact with each other. We know what's going on with our station. Everybody's stays in contact with what you're doing with your specific job. And he says to me, hey, go check the manager's group real quick. And I'm like, what's going on here? He's like, congratulations. Like, dude, what did I do? And then I open it up, and it's just like the picture of the trophy right there from one of our representatives we sent. And they're just like, hey, look what we won. And I saw that it was that. So that was pretty exciting.
So what exactly, was it for the whole broadcast, or was it just for your play-by-play, or what?
It was pretty sure it was for my play-by-play, so I can't send the whole 2 hours, whatever. I have to go on audition and find the best calls from that game that I felt were, should be sent to them. So I was listening to that thing for hours because every fall we got to listen to all sorts of stuff. So, as game director, I was listening to softball, which I didn't call because we had to submit a softball package. We got to submit a soccer package for men's and women's. We got to submit basketball, men's and women's, all that stuff. So I'm sitting in there with my friend and we're listening and we're like, what are we going to submit? How are we going to, what do we want to take from this package or from this recording and make into a package? And so we submitted a bunch of stuff, and that one was nominated and won. And we also were nominated for the softball one as well.
So you get an award as best play-by-play of students in America. So what does that mean? You're looking at PR, you're looking at, obviously you're working here, and I'm teaching you and making you learn how to do streaming video and stuff. Same thing with Sam Michael. I think both of you guys kind of begrudgingly said, hey, don't you, I'm pretty good on the air. Why can't I just be on the air? And my answer to them was, well, if you're going to work here, I'm going to make you employable. And one of the things to become employable is to know how to do streaming video. So you got some different possibilities now. Where do you really want to go? Where's your heart take you?
It takes me right back to baseball and basketball some way, shape, or form. But I really do admit, I love putting production work together, and especially now that I've been taking a TV News 1 course because I figured I just don't want to limit myself to just radio, because in today's age when you're in the media, people want you to be able to do both TV and this. So, I've gotten some work with camera work and putting together TV news packages the way you can WGN or Fox News for my TV News 1 professor. And I'm taking the Good Day DePaul course next quarter, and I'm going to do sports with that. But I really also like putting together packages with, an Adobe Premiere and Audition, and that's scripting it, figuring out how do you want to tell the story, and putting it together and piecing it together and using certain effects to enhance the experience of watching that, who you interview, what kind of questions you ask. It's a really enjoyable experience, but I'll go wherever I'm needed. I can really enjoy doing sports in any way, shape, or form. I actually reached out to some folks in Rosemont. There's a new baseball team starting called the Chicago Dogs. They're going to play in the same league as the Railcats. And I guess the land that they built that park on was the land. I didn't know this. I don't know if this is 100% true, but the land that they are playing on was the place that was offered to the Cubs when the Cubs were, dealing with the rooftop people, and are they going to leave Wrigley Field and go to Rosemont? And that was the land that it was apparently offered to them. So there's a team called the Chicago Dogs starting. I reached out to them, and he said, one of the guys said, yeah, we're still putting together a broadcast team on what we're going to do as far as broadcast, but, feel free to send any information that you want to send to us. So I did, and I'm still kind of waiting, and I'm going to hound them a little bit this week. I finally have some time this week now that I'm on spring break and can kind of just relax and start planning on more job searches this spring.
We did the sectionals, and Andrew came out on basically I would just announce the game, and then I would just hand it to Andrew at halftime and pregame and after the game. And I had a couple of my buddies text me and say, "Hey, just let that kid announce the game, man. You want to just walk around and talk to people and laugh and just be a fan." I go, "Yeah, I kind of do, but I got to work here." And so some of my buddies were just giving me a friendly fire about you just hand it over to Andrew, and then I come back and I'm like, has the quality come down now that I picked up the mic and I'm announcing it with Kuziak? I don't know. Hey, let's talk sports. What's going on?
Okay, so taking a look at today's sports report today. So taking a look at the NCAA tournament, of course, it's been absolute pandemonium of astronomical levels, I would say, this year. The Purdue Boilermakers, of course, yesterday squeaked by Butler 76-73. They're going to play on Friday at 8:57 against Texas Tech. The winner gets the winner of West Virginia versus Villanova. And then, of course, another local one, of course, Loyola is running wild through the tournament. They will play number 7 seed Nevada on Thursday.
That could not have been better for Loyola. And I was talking with the wife, who's a huge basketball fan. She's like, well, do they have a chance? I go, their only chance is if Cincinnati stubs their toe and Nevada wins that game. You're a DePaul guy. How does that feel across the city of Chicago that Loyola is now in the Sweet 16?
You know, it's been a kind of like a storm across Twitter calling for our athletic director to step down for the job that she has not done in the eyes of some since she took over in 2002 with DePaul men's basketball. And they have lost 20 games 3 years in a row now. Loyola just made the tournament for the first time since '85, and they're in the Sweet 16 for the same in that same time period. So it's been 33 years. Last year, Northwestern made their first tournament ever, and DePaul still hasn't made a tournament since 2004. And it has a lot of people angry and upset because, I mean, as bad as DePaul basketball is now, when I hear people like my parents' age telling me, yeah, I remember when, on WGN and you couldn't say DePaul without people getting excited because they used to light up Chicago, and I just look at them like there's just no way.
You don't realize this. My daughter is finishing her last class up this week or last week, and she same thing, has just a couple of things to tie up. But you don't realize that DePaul is the largest Catholic university in America.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of Catholic universities in America that made the tournament this year that aren't DePaul, that are way smaller. So something's got to happen. All right, I got Dan Carton on the line. You got one more.
So the rest. We got the Blackhawks lost last night in overtime 5-4. They're now 30 wins, 34 losses, 9 overtime losses. Patrick Berglund for St. Louis scored the overtime. The Bulls will play tonight in New York against the Knicks at the Garden at 6:30. They're 24-45 on the season. Pacers will host the Los Angeles Lakers tonight at 6 p.m. They are 40-30 on the season, and they are 5th in the Eastern Conference. Cubs in split squad action yesterday. The Vegas Cubs lost to the Indians 11-4. In Arizona, those Cubs lost 11-9 to Kansas City. Wilson Contreras homered against the Royals, and then yesterday the White Sox got spanked by the Oakland A's 14-0. But the highlight of that game, one Craig D'Lo picked up a hit in spring training action.
I saw that. I got a bunch of questions. I got a bunch of texts, and my wife's cousin is Mary D'Lo, and whatever. It's just everybody just marrying each other. And Craig D'Lo actually played in a spring training game.
Got a hit yesterday,
and I couldn't figure that out. And Daryl and there is a. I'm going to show the picture here, and then I want you to take it off my phone and put it up there, because I got a number of people texting me that there is a D'Lo jersey now, White Sox D'Lo jersey that says 28 on the back of it, and I want you to put that up and find it on my phone. It's on one of these from Daryl D'Lo or Mary D'Lo.
Put it on the Instagram for us?
Here it is. Yeah, put it on the, and then you'll be able to also put it up on the thing. Here we go. D'Lo 28. Here it is, right here. There he is in the dugout. So I'm like, wow, did he play yesterday in the spring training game? Was that his first at bat or was that his second? But can you look that up?
I was looking for spring. They don't like to provide a lot of spring training stats, so I don't know how much he's played prior to yesterday. But it did show in the box score that yesterday he did play and got a hit.
So if you guys don't know what we're talking about, it is my nephew is Craig Deedlow, and he played at Munster High. Munster High people, you should be very proud this morning, as Craig played for the White Sox in the spring training game and got a hit. And there it is, 28th.
There it is, yeah.
I am anybody. How many Deedlow jerseys with 28 on the back can we sell for the White Sox? I'm guessing we could sell 100 by tomorrow. All right, hold on. Christina, put that up there. I don't know if I can make it any bigger here. There it is, 28. And you can see it on my phone on the thing. So congratulations to Craig. All right, thanks a lot. All right, I'm sorry. We're way behind. Let's go straight to Dan Carden with the Times. Dan, I'm sorry. We get carried away about sports here, all right?
Hey, not a problem. I was listening to basketball on WJOB yesterday when I was driving through the region. So
you were driving through the region and you didn't even let me know? I would have come over here and showed you around. And I mean, it sounds like we know each other, but you could walk right by me and I wouldn't know what you look like. So there it is.
I count on that.
Yeah, it works in your head. Hey, man, the session's over, huh?
It is. It is over. And, well, if you read the Times, what a crazy end to it where, you know, they were supposed to adjourn at midnight and they didn't quite get all their work done. A bunch of somewhat important measures got killed. The Gary, sort of the reshaping of the Gary School Board, the autonomous vehicle bill. There was a school safety funding bill that got killed, a couple of tax bills. So there was some sort of an unexpected end to what had been a pretty ordinary session.
All right, let's go back to that first one. First of all, we're talking to Dan Carden, and you can read his stuff. Of course, he covers the state legislature for the Times of Northwest Indiana. Dan's been just cool enough to call us here throughout the session. It really didn't have that much going on with it, and then all of a sudden it did. And one of the things that we kind of thought around here is that they were going to reshape Gary schools. They were going to get some money. What didn't happen?
Yeah, so House Bill 1315 would have taken the Gary School Board, which already lost most of its power to the emergency manager last year, and made them, I would say, even more irrelevant. They would have only been allowed to meet 4 times a year. Right now, the emergency manager is required to consult with them on a regular basis. This measure would have gotten rid of that provision. But that was one of the bills that got caught up at the end of session and didn't get passed. So things stay status quo because the measure isn't going to become law. So the emergency manager still will have to talk to the Gary School Board. So the Gary School Board retains a bit of relevance, even though it doesn't have any actual power.
Is there any financial considerations that were going to be with a bill that didn't come through?
Not in that one. The state has been pretty willing to fund loans to the school corporation until the emergency manager is able to balance the budget. She's looking at early to mid-2019 for a time when revenues will begin matching expenses, and the state has been willing to cover that excess spending until then. You really can't kind of cut your way out of the problem without completely decimating the school corporation, and the only way to get more money is to attract more students. So if you cut every program, you're not going to attract more students, and you'll just be deeper in the hole. So she actually gave the Distress Unit Board last month this plan, had 32 different ideas for either cutting spending or raising money, or what they called strategic investments that would cost a little money on the front side but bring in more students on the back end, so you end up actually making money off of them. So I assume that's going to continue. There were some legislators who were pretty miffed that legislation didn't get through, so they could possibly take it out on the school corporation. But right now it's a state-run thing, so they don't. I can't imagine that they want to make the state look bad, even though the Gary people, most of the Gary people, were very against what was going to happen with their school board in that legislation.
Charlie Brown, Linda Lawson, and Scott Pilath, what do they have in common?
Well, they're all going to have a lot more free time on their hands. They are retiring from the General Assembly at the end of this session. Their terms actually run until November, so there has been some talk of a special session, probably after the primary in May. So they might be coming back for a few more days at the State House, but together they have 76 years of experience representing Northwest Indiana, and they're all kind of going on to different things. Charlie Brown is running for the Lake County Council. Linda Lawson is planning just to retire. And Scott Pilath is, he's been at the State House for 20 years. He just got married. He's got a new baby at home, so he's going to focus on that for a while. It's a big loss for Northwest Indiana. Those three have been there for a long time. Scott Pilath was the House Democratic leader. Charlie Brown and Linda Lawson have both been committee chairs when the Democrats were in the majority. So we're going to have at least 3 new representatives at the State House next year.
We're talking to Dan Carden of NWI Times. You could read Dan's stuff. Just type in CARDEN, and you'll be able to find it. Now, Dan, I had Linda Lawson sit at the end of the table here, and she talked about a toxic environment, and she used that. She was very straightforward about her disappointment about what has happened to Indianapolis over the past decade or so. Calls it a toxic environment. Basically, Democrats really are almost unnecessary and didn't have to be that way. Do you think that any of this changing environment, or at least Linda's perception of it, may have had something to do with kind of the 3 main Democrats leaving this time?
It might have. They were all kind of at sort of anniversaries too. So Charlie Brown's been there 36 years. Lawson and Pilath have been there 20 years. It's kind of the time when you start thinking, I mean, Charlie Brown is 80 years old, or just turned 80 years old. That's, asking a lot to drive from Gary to Indianapolis on icy I-65, back and forth every week in January and February and March. So I don't think it's unreasonable for him to say, I could do the same thing on the Lake County Council and not have to risk my life every week. So there's that. It's tough being in the minority, I would say, in the House. And the Democrats are actually in kind of a super minority now. If all the Democrats didn't show up for work, the Republicans, there's enough of them there that they would still have a quorum and could do business. So they are in some ways pretty irrelevant. Now, that said, the Republicans do kind of go out of their way to incorporate Democrats. They get Democratic co-sponsors on their bills. But everything that's happening is directed by the Republicans. And, that's tough to sit through because you're there to represent your district, which doesn't necessarily agree with the measures that are going through. And you just kind of have to sit there and take it. And it gets old pretty fast.
Is we talked about some of the stuff that didn't get done and some of the people who are leaving. Is alcohol sales kind of the hallmark of this legislative session?
Yeah, Sunday sales really kind of is the notable thing that got done. There are going to be some workforce development changes, but those are more sort of to the structure of Indiana's workforce development programs, not really. Those aren't going to be very visible to most people. We got a state insect, so that's a big accomplishment, I guess.
And the state insect is what?
It's the Say's firefly.
The firefly.
Yeah. So next time you're getting quizzed about state symbols, actually the governor hasn't signed it into law yet, so I'm pretty confident he will because he lobbied for it, but it's technically not the insect yet, but it will be.
All right. So anything else we need to note out of this legislative session?
It like I said, it started off pretty normal and ended up pretty crazy. And there is a pretty good chance that we will have a special session. The tax measures that died not restructure, but adapt Indiana's tax code to the federal tax changes that were enacted earlier this year. So if those don't go through, a whole lot of businesses are going to have to deal with one set of deductions for their federal taxes and have to come back and add back a bunch of income for their Indiana taxes. And I can't imagine this legislature is going to force businesses to have to deal with all that. So I would expect that, we're done for now, but the legislature probably will be back for a few days, maybe in May, to deal with what didn't get done.
All right, man. There you go. That seems just so weird, because it seems that, you would call in and we would go, hey, what's going on? And you'd basically say, well, you know what? There's not much going on. And then right at the end, they don't get it all done, and now you got to have a special session. I mean, it just seems kind of ironic.
It is. And, you were talking about Democrats having no power. That last night, the Democrats actually did have some power. They were debating issues. Now, it depends on who you talk to. The Republicans say that the Democrats were trying to stretch out debate. The Democrats said they were raising legitimate questions about complicated bills that were really getting dropped on their desk, and then 1 second later they were being asked to vote on it because there was just no time right at the end. So the Democrats did at one point huddle and figure out that they could do a few procedural things to try and slow things down and kill off a few of these bills. It ended up not being necessary because the Republicans just couldn't get the bills to the floor. Right at the end, bills have to go through what's called the Rules Committee before they can be considered for a full vote by the whole chamber. And the Rules Committee just got held up by, they were just going slow upstairs and couldn't get the bills down to the floor. But the Democrats, it was interesting to see, for once, they're like, oh, there's a sign of life here, that they actually matter at this point, because they can't stop anything, but they can slow it down. And once midnight hits, everything's dead. So it was an interesting final night.
He's Dan Carden. Dan, like always, thanks for calling in and updating us on what is or is not going on in Indianapolis. We all do appreciate it up here, my friend.
Happy to do it.
Okay, thanks a lot, Dan Carden.
Sure.
There he is on the local 599 phone line. Hey, speaking of 599, Slagle stopped by.
Save the date, April 19th, for the 2018 Fair Housing Act's 50th Anniversary Celebration and Awards Reception, being held at the Center for Visual and Performing Arts in Munster from 3 to 8 p.m. At 3 p.m., there will be a continuing education class. From 5 to 6:30 p.m., enjoy a cocktail reception, and 6:30 to 8 p.m., program and awards. Tickets in advance are $35 or $45 at the door. A portion will go to NWIRA programs. That's April 19th from 3 to 8 p.m., hosted by Lake County Housing Task Force and Bankers Community Council of NWIRA.
Men, are you taking Viagra or Cialis for ED? ED should not stand for expensive drugs. If you're taking Viagra, talk with your doctor about Sildenafil. Now you could get the same active ingredient in Viagra in generic 20 milligram tablets for less than $2 each, saving over $30 per dose. Available at Vito's Pharmacy. Call us 219-228-7200 or visit us at vitospharmacy.com.
Vito's Pharmacy.
Would you go to a doctor that isn't board certified? No, of course not. Then why would you trust in a lawyer that isn't board certified? If you've been injured in an accident and it's not your fault, get someone that's a board certified civil trial specialist by the National Board of Trial Advocacy. Get someone with over 20 years experience who's a member of the Best Lawyers of America and Indiana Super Lawyers and has achieved the highest possible peer review rating of AV by Martindale-Hubbell. Get Gladish. Attorney David Gladish in Highland and his team will deal with the insurance company and its attorneys while you put your life back together. Experience, ratings, and board certification really do matter. Get Gladish. For a free consultation, call 219-838-1900, 838-1900, or visit dgladishlaw.com. That's the letter D, Gladish law.com.
Jedi's Garden Family Restaurant, located at the corner of Klein and Ridge, is Griffith's locally owned family restaurant with a down-home feel and made-from-scratch favorites you will love. Open daily from 5 a.m. to midnight, Jedi's has you covered with breakfast omelets, salads, stir-fry, seafood, and steak sandwiches. In addition to our award-winning lemon rice soup, 4 additional soups are served daily. Along with our recently expanded spirits menu, Mondays are half-price margaritas and Wednesdays are $1 off domestics. Mention WJOB for 20% off your order. We'll see you at Jedi's at the corner of Klein and Ridge.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? AM 1230, WJOB and 104.7 FM. I'm Jim Dietlow, host of JED in the region. I'm back in the saddle. Thanks to a lot of people for sitting in. Kubik, Verley, Kuziak, Sam Michael. So all these people took a day or two, and I was able to take the full week off, 5 full days of work. And Alexis and I went to Florida, and we're back. And it's pretty cool just to come back and just get right back in this chair. 294 around the city looks pretty good. 80 going east and west looks good. Bishop Ford a little bit heavy from, say, 115th up to 103rd. But other than that, it's okay. Skyway Toll Road, Barman, I-65, all moving along well. And traffic, of course, is brought to you by Napleton River Oaks Honda, proudly serving Northwest Indiana from Torrance Avenue. And then what do you have in terms of weather? Today is the perfect normal weather day for March 19th. A high of 48 and a low of about 28. And that is your normal day. But the rest of the week should be well below normal temperatures. A high of 39 on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Then it gets into maybe a high of 45 by Friday. So it gets cooler, but you should see sunshine on every one of these days, at least for a little while. I took my Ironworkers Local 395 hat off just to get my head breathe for a little bit. But sitting here, and I want to thank the Ironworkers for that hat. What else? In terms of the markets, you actually had a little bit of a downdraft overnight. Let me see if that's still going on. I get up at like odd hours and just check things. So sometimes I get 2 o'clock in the morning news. Yeah, the Dow is down 132 points right now. Should open up below 25,000. Hey, every once in a while, Jim Slagle stops in on his way to local 599. Slagle, how you doing? I'm doing. You'd be doing better if I turned your mic on. How you doing? Let's try it again, huh? Turn the mic on that. There you go.
How's that? Better?
That would work better.
Right.
I could reach all the way over there. Slagle is with local 599. What do you do there?
I'm a business representative for the council. We check out jobs. We try to protect carpenters' rights and make sure they have a ability to make a decent living.
You know, before we talk about that, there is an issue on the board about, I guess, not just carpenters, but union people's rights. But what's going on over there at Indianapolis Boulevard and 45th? Is that one of you guys kind of behind Duke of Oil over there?
Yeah, so that's called Cardinal Campus. There's going to be a veterinary clinic there. There's going to be 9 separate buildings. When it's all said and done, I believe there'll be one hotel. And then the veterinary clinic, which is a 2-story, which is the building that you can actually see going up right now. They're putting the roof structure on there, and then they'll have what would that be, 6, 7 other buildings that of various, mostly offices. I believe. And right now, yeah, that is going good. That the contractors out there are being paid area standard wages. So the carpenters that are putting that wood framing up there right now, they're making the standard wages. Everybody else on that job so far.
So that's how many carpenters out there, you think?
So right now, matter of fact, I just stopped out there last Friday, talked to the guys, gave them some pencils and said hi and see how things were going. They had 7 guys out there. They're working for Huggett and Benton right now. It's a local outfit, does a lot of wood framing around the area.
So the, well, you mentioned this, protecting carpenters' rights and so forth. There's an issue. I don't know if it's going to make the state legislature or not, but you still have the issue of non-union companies hiring people as subcontractors, correct?
Sure. I wouldn't say that. So the issue I think you're getting at is what we call is tax fraud, and we don't brand it as a union non-union issue. It's a society issue. Right now, the state of Indiana loses over $400 million a year in tax revenue because of workers being misclassified and not paying taxes. And you can break that down right through the counties, and with our county option income tax, we're losing money here locally that we could use for infrastructure and right here in our own community. These companies, they bring in people, and they're not always minorities, but a lot of times they are, right? Because they take these minorities and they commit two illegal infractions. A lot of times they'll use human trafficking, and they use the illegal business model, which is tax fraud of illegally 1099 in them. But they'll keep these people pretty much contained where they don't have a choice, and they pay them substandard wages. We know of instances where they've actually put them up in unfinished hotels. The people were living in buildings they were building. And those are issues because, and like I said, it's not a union, non-union issue. It's a society issue. First of all, because that's wrong, and the amount of money we're losing. And, we talk about teachers. I have a whole breakdown. I'll bring it in next time since you brought this up. Next time I'll bring in the paperwork and I'll share the actual numbers of how many teachers this could supply for a year, how many more police officers it could. It's really a terrible thing. And it happens in other industries, but I represent carpenters and construction industry, so that's where I see it prevalent. We see it a lot of times in hotel construction, assisted livings. We have cases going on right now out in Porter County. There's some in Lake County, but we have a real big one in Porter County that we actually had some of these poor gentlemen that were being taken advantage of. And then they decided that because they had control that they were going to pay them, because these people didn't have papers. So they thought that they wouldn't come back and fight them. Well, one of them happened to know that we existed, so gave us a call, and we went over there and we placed liens on this property. And we worked with these guys, even though they weren't union members, because my responsibility is to protect all working carpenters. And we filed liens, and we worked with them, and we got these guys paid. We got 13 guys paid their money, over $60,000.
So how does that explain to folks that don't understand the difference between working for somebody and getting 1099?
Well, the federal government actually lays out guidelines of what the difference between a subcontractor and an employee is. One of the main things is that if the employer has direct control over you, if they tell you where to go, where to be there, how to do the work, that's direct control. When you're a subcontractor, you have direct control. All you're given is a job and told to get it done, and you bring it back. Like if you hire a marketing firm, that would be a subcontractor, because you're just telling them what you want, and they're going to run with it. They're going to employ their people. They're going to have complete control of the way that job goes. Doctors are a lot of times subcontractors because they have complete control. But when you're working in a construction industry and you're being told that you need to be there at 7 o'clock every morning, here, we're going to supply you these tools, and this is the way we're going to do the work, and now you do this, and then after you finish this job, you go to this job and this job. That's an employee. And when you're an employee, they're supposed to take payroll taxes out. Well, so they don't, and then if they're using people that happen to be undocumented, don't have papers, they're not taking out Social Security on them. They're not taking out workers' comp. They're not taking out the federal taxes or the state taxes or the county taxes. And, so it runs up everybody's cost of doing business outside of that, because if they get hurt, we're still covering them if they get hurt on the job, right? They go to the hospital, they don't have insurance because there's no way they could. The rest of society covers that bill. Plus, they didn't pay any taxes that they should have to begin with. I said millions and millions of dollars. It's staggering, the amount of money lost throughout the country. And then you break it down by state. Indiana's about $400 million. We actually represent Ohio also. They're $800 million that they can contribute to construction tax fraud. And that's an amazing number.
He's Jim Slagle, Local 599, one of the, other than WJOB and maybe Hunton Architects and a couple of other longstanding institutions, one of the longest running institutions here in the city of Hammond, right over there by Hammond High School. So we're going into the construction season right now. What any other big projects that you guys are looking at, or what's going on?
We have a few hospitals being built. We have one in Michigan City. We have one in Crown Point. I hear that there's another hospital entity that's looking to add on to one of their hospitals in Crown Point. There's that project that's like $100 million development over there at 231 and 65. That Cardinal campus is big. Klein Avenue's big going on. We've got Lear building that brand new facility right there across from the train station in East Chicago. It's actually in Hammond, but train station's in East Chicago.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
Oh, yeah, that's a big project. That's going to be a huge building. Huge building.
So we're coming up on the, carpenters obviously aren't that involved in road construction. A little bit
sure
here.
We do bridges.
You do the bridges. That's right. But actually just laying the road, I mean, a lot of times, yeah. But the bridges, of course. And now there's going to be a lot of bridge work coming up here and a lot of traffic. And that's good for, people in the construction trade. But it's going to be bad for people trying to zip around the region. As a matter of fact, there's very little traffic right now. Month and a half from now, that will not be the case.
I was coming home from we had a little seminar down in Indy, and I was coming home, and I took 31 up, and I came down the toll road from Valpo there, right? And every bridge you had to zigzag through now. So so careful. It wasn't bad. It was middle of the day, so it wasn't a whole lot of traffic. But yeah, that's the way every highway's going to be, I think, coming up.
Oh, I saw the map in the fall. I just put it down. I said, you know what? I'll deal with this in the spring. Because the list is very long. There's a lot of bridges on there.
Oh, sure.
There's just a lot of pavement also, and even some sewer work in some of them, and drainage and so forth.
Learn your side roads.
Yeah, exactly. So we do traffic here, and there's this period of time in the fall and in the spring when it gets kind of nice. But nobody started yet because there's nasty weather coming and they don't want to have a bunch of open holes and they want to put all the barricades out and so forth and then be down for a month as it snows and ices. So, we haven't started yet. So it's really not that bad of travel right now.
It's not that bad, but as years go on, we're stretching that season, the construction season, out further and further and further. And there were actual bridges that were being worked on all winter long.
Yeah, I saw that on I-65.
Depending on what they're doing, right? I mean, if they're driving pile, that big pile driving machine, it don't care how cold it is out. They can beat it right through that frost line. Once you get past it, it doesn't matter. So yeah, there's still some work going on, but yeah, the actual the paving, that's when it really gets big in the summer. The laborers and the operators out there running all that asphalt.
And I guess comical part to it. Typically when there is people yelling at construction workers or, the bigger delays, a lot of times it is the laborers and operators doing pavement because those move along and they're not longer term like lane shifts on bridges and so forth. All of a sudden it's like temporary, we're going to do this pavement. And I've been on jobs, people just driving by and, just using that F word profusely at you, and all you're doing is doing your job. So I hope that people are aware that this is going to be going on, man, and just are mentally prepared.
Man, if you lived around here any length of time, you ought to know what's coming up, right?
You got it. Jim Slagle, he just stops by on his way to work. Jim, thanks for coming in, man.
All right, thanks for having me again, Jim.
All right, guys, Billy Baker's up next. Why not? AM 1230, WJOB 104.7 FM, the voice and face of the region.
Elmwood Casket Company in Hammond and Cherville offers over 100 American-made caskets, up to 60% less expensive than area funeral homes, along with a wide selection of burial vaults and cremation urns. Our company is licensed by the state of Indiana and offers interest-free pre-arrangement plans. Call Mike at 219-844-7009 or visit elmwoodcaskets.com for pricing. Remember, you do have options to prevent overpaying at the funeral home. Elmwood Casket Company.
Fill your garage with your dream car during the Honda Dream Garage Spring event going on now at Napleton's River Oaks Honda. They're Northwest Indiana's destination for new and certified pre-owned Hondas. Napleton's River Oaks Honda has a huge selection of brand new and certified pre-owned Civics, Accords, CRVs, and Pilots. Come find out why you always get our best deal at River Oaks Honda. As always, Indiana residents pay Indiana sales tax right off 8094 on Torrance Avenue or online at riveroakshonda.com.
Napleton, second to none since 1931.
As the preacher once said, the best kept secret in Lake County, Spike's Lakeside Inn 2. Restaurant and bar, Cherville, Indiana. Serving seafood at its finest. Lenten specials, also a full sandwich and dinner menu. Homemade soups with full salad bar. For your adult dining in a comfortable atmosphere, come join us at Spike's Lakeside 2. Located at 21 East Joliet Street, Cherville, Indiana. Next to the police station, across from Town Hall. For reservations, call 322-4444. Serving Thursday through Sunday. Remember, 25% off your dining bill on Thursdays and Sundays. Follow us on Facebook. Hope to see you at Spike's Lakeside 2.
For generations, you've trusted Edgewater Systems to provide compassionate, high-quality care. As the science of behavioral health has evolved, it's revealed the important connection between physical and behavioral health. With this in mind, we're pleased to introduce Edgewater Health, which includes primary care, in addition to our long-standing mental health and addiction services. Whichever combination of services you need, Edgewater Health is here for you for your whole life. Learn more at edgewaterhealth.org.
Hello, what's going on, everybody? AM 1230 WJOB and 104.7 FM, the voice and face of the region. And Jim Deedlow here, back in the saddle. Thanks to Kuziak, Verley, Sam, and Kubik and Cott Marlowe for filling in last week as Alexis and I went to Florida. And back here, I got a little bit of a tan and just feeling... you know how it is, that first day back, you're like, and then, but you guys are here, and we're all hanging out together, and that makes it worth it. Hey, pursue your passion with a degree from Aurora University Online. Choose fully online programs in business, computer science, and more. To learn more, visit online.aurora.edu. Take a look at traffic. There ain't much, as you heard Slagle and I talking about it. 294 around the city, moving well. 80 going east and west, looks good to Bishop Ford. A little bit tight, actually, from 115th on up to the southern end of the Dan Ryan. You know, we can hear when you're doing that.
You know, tell people to turn their mic off.
You know, what if they called it a jack? Don't say
I'll go for a while. Hey, what's the weather like?
Tell people to turn their... Anyways, I don't know. Let's see, Bishop Ford and the Dan Ryan, a little bit tight as you're going into the merge. We'll keep an eye on that. And then Skyway Toll Road, Barman, I-65, US 30, Klein Avenue. Those are all moving along pretty well. Traffic brought to you by Napleton River Oaks, Honda, proudly serving Northwest Indiana with superior customer service. Taking a look at what's going on in the weather. High of 48 and a low of 29 tonight. That is the exact average for this time, but it's going to get colder the rest of the week. Highs in the upper 30s all the way through Thursday, and then Friday warms up a little bit into Friday. No real precipitation throughout that time. Markets are down $1.25 already on the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Weather brought to you by our good friends at Ironworkers Local 395. They build stuff. Bill Baker's here. How you doing?
Schmedley, how come I'm sitting in the tanning booth and you're in the dark?
I don't know. Yeah, I guess, you know Christina, what? Turn this light on over here. I guess,
you need to do this stuff before you get on the air as opposed to clearing your throat. And, I want to put my microphone here and, back in the saddle.
I think I'm supposed to move a little closer to you, which
that's
wasn't by choice, yeah. Hey, he's Billy Baker. He comes in no official capacity, although he does hold official capacities. He is just here as a chumpster, just as a Billy Baker, as a Schmedley.
Let's just go ahead and tell everybody I'm a buzzkill, which means I'm absolutely no fun at parties, right?
Shanky Scooter Shop. Shanky Scooter Shop may I help you. Shanky speaking. Baker, what's up, man? I got so much stuff sitting on my table here that we
can see it just spread out all over. You got a real organization thing happening there. Way to go. Did they teach you that at MBA school?
No, they're not. I did take my final though. No, my midterm, and I got my results back. Are you going to ask me what I got?
Jimmy. No, I don't care.
Come on, Billy. Ask me, Billy.
You passed.
I passed.
D-. Way to go.
No, man. When you get to grad school, they don't take C's. I thought I was going to get a C in accounting, and they informed me that you'd have to take it again. I go, C? So what? I had a whole bunch of those things, man. But I got a 95 on my marketing test, so I'm now a marketer.
Well, one thing you could do is memorize material. That's
I can
one
memorize.
thing you can do.
I memorize
And that's all
everything.
take testing is just memorize stuff.
No, they have a lot of problems, but the actual
test is memorizing.
You know, I think half the test is true and false and multiple choice. I can get those. Yeah, I memorized those, baby. I see them once. Okay, I got you. Hey, Baker is in, and if you guys want to talk to us, 219-845-1100. All right, I was busy earlier and had I had guests come through, so I was unable to talk to Mad Mac, and that's too bad because, Mad Mac, I missed you.
I missed you too, Jimmy.
Really? What is that?
That's
Schmedley.
Just,
is that Schmedley?
Schmedley talk.
Schmedleyism.
Yeah, Schmedley and Schmedley Inc. Hey, listen, Wicker's doing okay, by the way. I was out there destroying some sod yesterday. So
Really? Already, huh?
But what in God? Is there something we can do with those geese? Can we, like, recycle them turn them into, like, insulation or something?
You know,
just shove them in a machine and grind them, or sausage for the poor or something.
No, you can't kill them.
I never saw more poo in my life.
Yeah. No, the best way, I mean, I've had that issue in a couple of properties I've been responsible for, Glad Mac, and it's best way to do it without causing any damage to the animals is there's subcontractors or vendors that bring out their dogs. And they bring out like those shepherd dogs, and they'll go run them off. And after a certain period of time, they don't come back. That, and you have to let the weeds grow a little bit higher than the actual goose could see. I can't believe I even know this stuff, Deedlo. So yeah, so they won't nest there because they're worried about the bobcat or the coyotes getting back in there. So when you shave everything down to the water, that's what brings the geese in.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll remember that next time I'm playing Trivial Pursuit.
Hey, listen, can I give you a visual?
That's your whole life is Trivial Pursuit. What are you talking about?
Well, we've all got to do something.
Hey, listen. All right, I'll give you a visual. Your ball rolls up, and say you're on number 18 at Wicker, where all the goose poopy is, that and number 1. Your ball rolls up, and so you're playing for a little money, so you can't pick up the ball and you can't move it, but it's near a piece of goose poopy, and you're like, oh, well, what's the difference? So then you bring out your, say you're closer, you hit a 7-iron, and you bring it out, and you come through the ball, and then you catch a little bit of that goose poopy, and then it just shoots right off between the ball and your club and right into your eye. You ever have that happen?
Yep.
No.
Oh, I tell you, that whole place looks like, I don't know, man. I got 2 things for you, Jimmy. I need you to explain that commercial you played about 7-8 minutes ago that they're having a $35 a head at the what is your little your visual performing arts thing on Ridge Road? Awards for public housing?
I did not. I've been gone. I don't know what that is. I'll have to. I think it plays again here.
Yeah, I might pay the $35 just to see what kind of political debacle that is, because you got to be awards for public housing.
What are you, against public housing?
I'm against anything. We're giving people in the government awards for doing their job. I don't know what it is. So maybe I'm jumping the gun here, but you got to research that one. And then I got to tell you, with the primaries coming up here, let me give you a little different perspective on how to analyze these politicians as we're heading into the primary. Because I heard your caller, Dave with the rose-colored glasses from Gary or Highland or Mojo or wherever he's from, who sounded so enamored with George Van Til. Like, what a wonderful man. Just absorbed, and I'm hanging on every word. Now, my perspective is a little different, because when I encounter any politician, Any word that comes out of their mouth, I doubt it, and I barely believe it.
Why do you have to be so negative about Lake County politicians?
You're kidding, right? Jimmy, how many times did I ask your buddy, the sheriff, your whatever, sausage fingers, over the years, how many times did I ask him live on the air, why are you so concerned with providing an incredibly high level of health care to these criminals who are in the jail? I continually ask that. I'm like, there's something going on here. And then we find out the truth. That his girlfriend is on a commission basis, receiving extra cash on the side from an employer who's got a contract with the jail. So instead of taking a guy and slapping a bracelet on him for a little possession thing, nope, he keeps him in the jail for a month, gives him literally insurance that the majority of folks in, let's say, Gary or Hammond may not even have access to, who can't afford it. Yet he's given these guys the gold-plated insurance program. And I'm always like, why was that? And now we find out. He was running a commission scam with his girlfriend.
So where are you going with this? This is all like old news, dude.
No, this is new news because now we got a guy who was just endorsed by Mr. Jim Weezer in the Democratic Party. By the way, Mr. Jim Weezer, when he found out that one of his little buddies who's in the upper echelon of the Democratic Party, when he found out that, oh, she hasn't paid property taxes on rental properties for like 15 years because she checked the wrong box, allegedly, and saved herself about $300,000. Oh, I wasn't aware of that.
Okay, all right.
But now we got a guy running for sheriff.
You're going out on the weeds here, man.
Money.
Hey, I got a question for you. I want to talk about one. Have you been following this? Have you guys been following this Steve Kill story, Baker and Mad Mac?
I read about it.
Steve Kill.
That's old.
Oh, yeah, you don't know about it?
He's also up for, did you see that Arizona job? So he might just
go.
Plan.
Steve Kill is getting, if you know, Mad Mac, you may even remember this. This was like almost 3 years ago or 2.5 years ago. And
And you're fixated on it?
No, I'm doing the show, and Joe Hero calls in.
I heard earlier.
And he calls in and he says, hey, man, Steve Kill's stealing signs, or somebody's stealing signs. And I'm like, all right, well, thanks for calling in. He's like, well, what are you going to do about it? What do you mean what am I going to do about it? I'm just going to hang up right now.
He can't even turn the mic on.
Yeah, exactly. You'd say what you wanted to say, now you got to go on. Yeah, but this is an injustice. Well, it turns out it was an injustice, and this Steve Kill is evidently going to going to get a plea deal. Is up for a plea deal. So there may be something to this. But I'll tell you what, these two guys by the name of...
He's got to be a Democrat, by the way, right?
I don't know, but I do know that here, guys by the name of Joe Hero and Robert Pastore, who witnessed Kill removing political signs they had placed. They came up with a witness, a victim statement for 20 people that says they have been put out and they've been caused hardship by the stealing of the signs. Who are these?
Jimmy?
Who are these Joe Hero and Robert Pastore? And then they're going after and they want to fine for Steve Kill. They want him not be able to get a job in Indiana. I mean, they just want to go after him. Why?
That I don't know. Hey, listen, you had a flashback last night with you interviewing McDermott right after McDermott's wife won the judgeship over Paris and that whole crew,
Yeah.
You should replay that again.
Okay, I got other people. I got to go. Let's go to Toll Road, Tom, see how he's doing. Toll Road, how are you?
My father always said, when a politician is lying,
Lips
his
are
lips are moving.
Yeah, that's the first time I've heard that this week. You know what? Last time I heard that, I fell off my dinosaur.
Boil it up, baby.
Hey, really, what's going on? Hey, when Dakota Mathias shot that shot yesterday, what was the feeling in your heart?
I didn't see the game.
No!
Any of it.
Why? What's wrong with you?
I was at an appointment all day. Couldn't watch it.
You couldn't even listen to Larry Clisby on WJOB?
No, I caught the first half and the end of the first half, and I felt pretty good when them going to the locker room.
I don't know, man.
I always thought, though, they're a different team. With Haas is slow on D. So they get back on D quicker when he's not on the floor. And all these teams probably have been preparing for Haas, thinking this is how it's going to be. Now they don't know how to prepare for this team because it's different.
Well, if you guys don't know what he's talking about, Purdue's Isaac Haas broke his elbow on Friday's game and didn't play yesterday against Butler, and Purdue still won.
During a point in the game where it was completely irrelevant and he should have never been on the floor.
It wasn't a game. You know, I heard that argument by some of the announcers. I don't think so. I think it was still, 8 minutes left in the game? They're up by 20. I mean, you still play, you know. You still play till about 3 or 4 minutes, and then you let the other guys come in.
Sucks being Virginia today, huh?
Oh, God. I don't even know what to say because for the grace of God goes Purdue.
All I know is I watched that Virginia game, and at halftime I looked at my wife. I go, Virginia's going down. She goes, why? I said, they're not ready to play.
All right.
I said, they're just watching this team, and I said, and this team is they're just heating up, and they didn't miss a shot.
All right. Well, good hearing from you.
Even the prayers are being answered. It's just like Loyola, that last shot. Clanks off the back of the rim. You and me, Jim, will miss that shot 99% of the time. It bounces up and goes in.
But you didn't get to see the shot of the weekend was Dakota Mathias from 26 feet away hitting a three.
I saw the replay on Big Ten Network after the game.
As he went up to shoot, my wife and I are watching the game in the living room. We just got back from Florida, and I'm like, oh, my God, way to go! You idiot! I'll see you. Bye. 219-845-1100.
What are you doing?
Yeah! You stupid! Yeah! You're a great guy. Hey, listen, Mark Porter, his daughter, they won the CYO championship for 8th grade. And here's a picture of Mark Porter.
Nice segue, by the way.
Well, it's sports. And hats off to Coach Brian Klaczynski, head coach since 5th grade, St. Thomas More. I also talked to Waylon, Terry Whalen, and he was saying that the Munster St. Thomas went and lost to Hanover Central in the CYO championship. I don't know how Hanover Central got in there, but they did. And but 8th grade CYO championship yesterday goes to St. Thomas More. Want to take some more phone calls, or we want to talk about Porter? Let's tell Porter stories.
Hey, it's a Blazer. What can I say?
The Blazer. Mark Porter is the guy who lit firecrackers off in our basement at like 7 in the morning.
Oh, Dad and Mom appreciated
that.
Oh,
my dad was like, my dad wasn't even mad. He was just curious. Like
what thought process do you go through?
Exactly. I thought he was going to go nuts, and he just came down and said, did you just light firecrackers?
In my basement?
Yeah, sorry, Mr. Dietlow. Yeah, well, don't do that again. And later he's like, what was that guy thinking? We're all sleeping, and it's inside of a house, and he just wakes up and goes to the bathroom, and on the way back lights firecrackers. Well, there you go, Dad. That's what happened. I don't know what to tell you. It wasn't me, I promise. Let's go to Bill on line 3. Hey, Bill, how are you?
You mentioned fireworks. Because of fireworks, we have the greatest eyesore in the Midwest at 175th and Calumet. All those grotesque and ugly signs that Kaplan does not have to have up until fireworks season.
Welcome to Hammond. Buy fireworks.
Well, that's right. They're grossly in violation of the ordinance requirements. I shut down. When fireworks are illegal, I shut down locations. I got sued by the entire damn industry in the state. It wasn't very pleasant. Where the hell is the law department from the city of Hammond on those obvious ordinance violations?
So you're talking about when you get off of the expressway and you're going north on
Off of the expressway, when you come from Munster going north, that's the first thing you see entering the city. It's a disgrace. Where is our local councilman? Woman, I mean.
Well, there you go. You asked the question.
By the way,
do you want to answer
something
it?
very important, something threshold. I had Latin at Bishop Knoll, so I know, and you don't know, that lex, legis, and lexus means law. And you would have known that. Don't you get destiny here? Alexis Dietlow, Judge Alexis Dietlow.
So, Alexis means law? I did not know that.
Well, once as us arrogant guys at Notre Dame State every once in a while, Jed, once again, Jed, you're showing the flaws of a secular education.
Yeah, well, you're showing...
Lex, legis, lexus.
So you
It's
learned that...
Destiny. It's destiny.
You learned that at Catholic Central?
At Bishop Knoll.
No, it was Catholic
Joe
Central back
Havyard.
there when you were there.
Yes. Well, I was almost old enough to make it, and I'll make one final. I went to Bishop Knoll and swam and played golf. And we played golf against Munster, and I played golf against Will Glarus. You guys know Will.
He's a golfer?
Yes.
Is he any good?
Yeah, he was very good, except, you know, he could be a little vain. We kept telling him, Will, stop combing your hair and hit the damn ball.
All right, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Let's see how Charlie's been doing. Charlie, how have you been doing?
Yeah, you are. You should take another vacation.
You want me to go on vacation again? That's a good idea.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Hi, Mr. Baker.
Charlie, nice to hear your voice again. It was nice seeing you last week, too, by the way. You look good.
And I seen his dad. I seen your dad. Your dad looks better than your dad.
You talking to me or Billy?
No, I seen your dad, Jed.
My dad? What about my dad? Do you think he looks better than I do?
Yeah. Okay. How come you don't go to church today? It's Sunday.
Oh, well, yesterday was Sunday, Charlie.
Yeah. How come you don't go to church? How come you on? How come you on Mondays, Jed? I don't like you on Mondays.
Who would you rather have?
Some other people. Don't be so mean.
You want?
You're always mean.
You want fish? You want me to get fish on here?
No, somebody else like Johnny and Steve. You always mean to people. Quit being mean. So I'm not going to listen to you.
All right,
Okay,
I'll tell you what. For the rest of the show here, I'm gonna try to not be mean to anybody but Billy Baker. Okay? I'll see. I gotta go. We'll be right back. AM 1230, WJOB 104.7 FM, the voice and face of the region.
Join Harvest Ridge Church in St. John on Good Friday, March 30th at 7 p.m. for a Tenebrae service. Tenebrae, which means darkness or shadow, is an ancient tradition in which Christians gather to recall the hours of darkness that occurred at the crucifixion of Jesus. Set in candlelight, the candles are gradually extinguished as the biblical story of the cross is retold through scripture and music. Join us at Harvest Ridge Church at 9495 Kyleman Street in St. John for this Good Friday Tenebrae service. Visit harvestridgechurch.com for more information.
Rush Radiosurgery deploys revolutionary technology in the fight against prostate cancer in just 5 outpatient treatments. With radiosurgery treatment for prostate cancer, there is no pain, no surgery, and you can go back to your normal activities right after treatment. Prostate cancer does not fight fair, and neither should you. For more information, contact Rush Radiosurgery at 312-942-4600 or visit us at rushradiosurgery.com.
No case is typical. Results will vary by patient, and there's no guarantee other patients will experience these results.
I want to be like the pretty people on my TV.
Now you can.
All I need are gleaming white teeth.
We can help you.
Can you find the right dentist for me?
Dr. Andy Coulteritis, he does cosmetic dental.
Will he hurt me?
No, he's gentle.
I'm terrified of pain.
He's the kindest in the land.
He sounds great. Could you repeat his name?
Dr. Andy Coulteritis, 219-836-1111.
Thanks.
Giovanni's in Munster, Northwest Indiana's premier Italian cuisine. Come enjoy our expertly prepared veal, steak, seafood, and other Italian delicacies. Experience over 20 years of entertainment with our piano player Jack every Friday and Saturday evening in the lounge. And join our VIP or e-rewards on your next stop in. Host your special event, shower, or celebration in our back room. Giovanni's is located at 603 Ridge Road in Munster. Call 836-6220 to make a reservation. Check out our menu at giosmunster.com.
Hey, what are you going to do when you grow up, huh? Me, I'm going to talk on the radio, and I'm going to be really immature about it with Billy Baker, and we're going to
I still can't believe you teach a class. But then again, I'm getting retrained because you teach a class, you were Business Person of the Year, and you're in the Hall of Fame. You know, everybody out there, you just don't know how much entertainment value for a certain core group of region people that generates. All you got to do is buy a radio station, kids.
294 around the city's moving well up to O'Hare. It's a little problematic coming out of it. 80 going east and west looks good. Please pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Hey, Bishop Ford's actually gotten a little bit better. Still got a brake tapper there at the merge. Skyway Toll Road, Barman, I-65 are all moving along pretty well. Traffic brought to you by Napleton River Oaks Honda, proudly serving NWI from Torrance Ave. And what do you have in terms of the weather? Brought to you by Laborers Local 41, of which I'm a proud love of that fine union. High at 48, some sun, then clouds, and cool today. And then it gets colder Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Going to be a little chilly out there at 5:30 in the morning on Indianapolis Boulevard as we get into the 20s every night. And a high of 39 for the next 3 days. And then Friday, a high of 45, turning cloudy and chilly. Markets are down tonight or today. They're down about a $1.40 on the Dow Jones Industrial Average already. Yep, $1.20 now. Billy Baker's here.
Hey, Jimmy, what do you think about the economy? When you were on vacation, you know, lounging around because you worked so hard over sectionals, and that's a real stressful time, you know, and you had some time to relax. Did you ponder any of those types of things?
You know, I don't think in macro terms anymore.
You don't?
No, I just think like, well, whatever happens, happens, and I don't really have any.
You just kind of, just walk through life?
I think a lot about radio and about streaming video, and I'll tell you, you want to talk about a couple of...
That's a macro thing, so you're going to go from the economy to streaming video?
Well, in the past 2 weeks, there's been some huge radio stories. One of them is at The Loop, which we didn't get to talk about too much. The Loop basically,
sold out.
No, they didn't just sell out. They had a fire sale because they had to fire everyone, including Mancow and like 35 other people in radio. And they sold out to the Christian broadcasters, which is always an option. Yeah, and they were getting hammered, and the guy lost a bunch of money. I think he bought it for like $197 and sold it for $21 or something like that.
Ouch.
Really, but he had other stuff, so maybe it wasn't that bad. But there was and then on Thursday, iHeartRadio, which used to be Clear Channel, filed for bankruptcy, which shows you the struggles that radio is up against. And it is only at the local level where we're at where they still flourish in any sort of way.
Well, why would you make such a global statement not knowing some of the specifics? I mean, that's just, getting the headline and then making your own judgment. It would be like saying, well, this grocery store filed for bankruptcy. That means grocery stores are going out. I mean, you can't do that. What if it was just poor management? What was just if they just overpaid? What it was if it was not being able to adapt to the marketplace?
Well, all of those things apply, but I mean, you got to think that, here I am 15 years in radio now, 14 years in radio, that have a pretty good understanding of the details behind both of these cases. And in both of these cases, the management would come out and they'd say, hey, radio is a challenging environment, and, the iHeartRadio is Clear Channel. They just bought up a bunch of radio stations, and they can't make their debt payment, and they're out. And I understand that, but they're almost the part that is the problem is exclusively radio. And I know that you and I have had these discussions in the past, and you're like, well, don't forget about the radio and radio this. And I'm like, yeah, radio.
About the radio.
Yeah, the radio still exists and is strong here locally, and the local areas can still be very strong in the radio.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no doubt that these filings of bankruptcy and people going out of business like the Loop strengthens the argument that you have to rotate into the new media that are available. And that is when we just had a huge example of that with the sectional basketball where we had 150,000 views on that. I mean, it's just the game is changing. And I get people stop me all the time, say, oh, man, I just want to listen to radio and, all your new stuff. Will you quit doing that stuff? And I'm like, hey, listen. And then we have a discussion about it. I'm like, the spirit of WJOB is the same. It's just, it's just morphing into a new distribution outlet. And for you to sit there and say, well, you just need to do radio and shut up is really being selfish.
I don't think that came out of my
Not you, but I've heard it from other people. And I'm like, listen, you're just being selfish. Because if I just do radio and shut up, I'll be like our iHeartRadio and like the Loop.
Well, everybody in the region has an opinion on how to spend other people's money. I mean, that's a skill set just like whining and complaining. I mean, that's what we do very well. But as it relates to how you think and move forward, that's your business. I mean, you're making the sandwiches here. So, I mean, this is a unique marketplace. If you had 25 radio stations, your thought process might be a little bit different because you're a little bit beyond just one particular marketplace. And that's kind of what happens, in my opinion, having to do with iHeartRadio or Clear Channel or some of those larger corporate groups, because they're buying assets, not necessarily trying to feed a particular marketplace.
Absolutely. But in the end, to me, you know what? To me, the big problem is the overregulation of radio and television, and you see it on a regular basis.
It's government.
My motto is smart money, and the Russians go where there's less regulation. And there's less regulation. We can do whatever we want on Facebook Live video.
Well, there's
I can take my clothes off right now.
Oh, please don't.
Well, see my hair. You're making fun of my back. Did you get any sun? I got plenty of sun. I
go to D-Lo. I go, you were in Florida? I go, was it cloudy? I go, yeah, at least got a little sunburn somewhere. A little, you got to come back to the region from spring break with a little sunburn. I mean, that's just part of the deal.
How are you going to get sunburn when every time you go out to sit out, the wife whips out SPF 5 million and sprays it all over your face and your hairy back? She's like, I'm sitting there, I'm like, I must look like a celebrity. I got this Mexican chick just rubbing stuff all over my body. She's like, I'm tired,
which isn't a bad thing.
No, it's not a bad thing. I'm like, oh, honey, the sun's kind of hot today. Might want to rub some of that stuff on my belly.
Okay, that's enough of this. Let's go in.
It's like a genie. You rub the. Anyways,
careful, Kielbasa.
Exactly. anyways, she's very good at putting it on my forehead all the time. Hey, come here. So that's why I'm not.
So, I mean, there was an article having to do with Facebook and not having any regulations about how the government's having issues because of the fact that so many false things are getting put on there during elections. So
exactly, but they still make more money because they're not regulated.
Right. Well, government takes forever to catch up. So in about 10 years, at D-Lo speed, they'll catch up and start making those types of regulations. But already it's going to be way past it. So that's one of the real indicators, at least in my opinion, that shows government just can't keep up with the market. And if they're going to regulate and start telling people what they can and cannot do on the internet, they're way behind.
Well, my point is this. Fine, I don't know what you're going to do on the internet. People make up stuff all the time, and they put it out there, and people think it's right. And the Russians may have been able to affect an election because of Facebook, and Facebook's under a lot of pressure right now. But until that happens, my point is, well, just get rid of all the regulation of radio and television. Let us do whatever we want. Let me say right now, if I want, let me say an F-bomb, okay? And just like on the internet, they don't really have to fill out all these paperworks every time somebody comes in and somebody's on the internet. Do you have to give the exact amount of time here? And you got to end on the minute. And if you don't, are you in violation? I'm
Mhm.
like, do you realize how anti-competitive that is? You know how much extra cost that is? And do you know how much that keeps people away from investing and buying stuff on radio and television? Because they can go right over to the internet right now and do none of it. And that
Except play music.
Well, if you're a radio station, you can't play music on Facebook. But if you're just an average person, you can.
Yeah.
So there you go, strike 500. And so I don't know what to do when I see the loop going down and I see iHeartMedia going down. I'm just like, listen, somebody's got to hear me one day and say, all you got to do is get rid of all the regulation of radio. We've got to fill out all these forms and all. I mean, how much?
It's antiquated.
It's antiquated. Get rid of it and then start from scratch and say radio, TV, and the internet. Bring them all together.
They don't sunshine laws. They just paint over them and just put another layer and another layer and another layer. That goes all the way to local government. I mean, you should have almost every law, in my opinion, be a sunshine law, and it has to come up for a review every 5 or 6 years. Or if you're going to pass a new one, you got to take one off the books. But these are all things that would adapt to a different way of doing it, and the status quo is more important than adapting to a new way of doing it.
Oh, absolutely. You go to these conferences.
Especially where we live.
I go to the radio conferences, and then they have, like, FCC things. And I'm like, all right, well, I got to know. So I go to these things, and I go on to follow the rules. And they make no sense to me. And you walk in there, and there's 200
lawyers
that make their money. And if you got rid of all of the... And this is just a few of them. They're everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Around Washington, D.C. And if you just said, all right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to make it even for radio and TV and for Facebook. And we're going to get rid of all of these regulations that they have to do, except we're still going to make it so that the signals don't cross over. That's the only thing they should be doing. It's the only thing they should do is say, all right, your signal's on theirs. All right, you got to pull back a little bit on your transmitter. That's it. All of the programming stuff, I got to fill out an issues programming thing. Every day we talk local stuff. Why would I have to fill out anything? Every day. Right now we're going to talk about the Fig Bridge, or we're going to talk about Steve Kill and sign stealing, or local construction around here. Yet I got to fill out a form and prove to the government that I'm fulfilling my job of getting involved in the local community. How much more can we do in the local community? I mean, honestly, I look at it, I go, there's a reason, and nobody wants to talk about this because nobody really cares, and all of the big money goes into the internet and stuff, that no one's will even listen to me on this topic. I can't even get an audience.
Well, who would you want to have an audience with? I mean, you get enough people that come through the joint. Why don't you ask a real question of the senator or the congressman on something like that?
They don't even know.
Well, that's the point. They don't even know. So if you ask them the question, at least it gets to the point where we're having to listen about all the great things they're doing and how it's such a wonderful deal that they're, out there, protecting the people. Then ask them some questions that have to pertain to the day-to-day life of what you do for a living, or what I do for a living, or what that guy over there does for a living. As opposed to just, oh, yeah, everything's great. I'm just listening to my infomercial. Here's my stuff to talk about. Get in the cart.
Don't say that. That sounds elitist when you say get in the cart. I don't know, Baker, but I guess part of this.
That sounds elitist to you.
Part of this is that this is like two friends that have had this, ongoing discussion about like the future of media. And I can tell you right now, Baker, after doing those sectionals, and how easy that was to sell streaming video around here, and how people want the streaming video. So I worry that, what do you do with the spirit of WJOB? I know where it's going. It's going right there on the internet. So I guess I don't want too much regulation of the internet, because I can do whatever I want on the internet.
And the fact that you could have the internet on your phone, I mean, even from 10 or 15 years ago, how much different it is now. To the point that I could be in Florida and listen to the high school basketball game. Or watch it. I mean, that's just not how it used to be anymore. Now, there's a lot of us, me included, might have a little bit of a challenge trying to find it, but I mean, it's out there just like everything else is out there. Now, walking around with that much computing power on your phone, I mean, that was, it was like you and I when I couldn't get you to buy a cell phone. I mean, now all of a sudden that computer and that phone is so much more I don't know, viable than it was when you and I were having that conversation in 2005.
And I'm glad that my friend of almost coming up on 50 years, believe it or not, yeah, really, is finally coming around, because we used to have these arguments all the time, and he's like, "Oh no, you got to go invest in the radio." I go, "Listen, I don't think so," and the main reason is the overregulation of it. I've got all sorts of plans. If they just said, "Listen, you don't have to worry about if somebody slips an F-bomb in there. You don't have to worry anymore about filling out things about politicians coming in or if somebody's buying a show from you." Do you realize the amount of, just to have these people come in and buy shows? And
I know that.
The amount of regulation that goes
and
into
just people calling in not being able to do their pitch for everybody. I mean, that gets regulated too, because that could be considered a commercial.
Yeah,
and people get mad, and there's people out there that's all they worry about. I'm like, oh, whatever. I mean, really? You're going to start timing us? I remember being in the studio going, oh, that's what you're thinking about? How many seconds that we talked about that guy versus your guy? Yeah, that's a big deal around here. But you know what? I mean, there's only so many places that you can get your message out, Jimmy, of which this is one of them. But, I mean, I'm more of the, having a multi-prong attack. That's why I keep looking at radio as being a viable alternative, because there's more than one way to get the message out. And if you provide as many vehicles as possible, that means you're hitting more and more of the demographic out there.
All right, let's talk to I agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's the only reason I keep saying to pay attention to it.
You should see. You're right, because listen. All right, all these young kids in here are like, "Hey, we need to be on Twitter." I'm like, "Oh, really? We're already on Facebook video." All right, we put it on Twitter, and now our numbers have gone up roughly about 10%.
Your Twitter numbers?
No, the total viewing number. All right, we need to be on YouTube. All right, then we go up another 7%.
I mean, I'm old, but I mean, I lost it when I was watching some sports show. It was on the Golf Channel. And they were putting quotes on from Twitter and Facebook onto the Golf Channel for the television.
Well, that's what we're doing next.
I'm like going, really? I go, I don't want to read what, Johnny Bag of Donuts has to say about whether or not he hit a nice shot there or not. I don't care. Johnny Bag of Donuts
I disagree with that.
I
love seeing 100%. Those things.
I don't care what movie you saw. I don't care. I mean,
they had one, Rory McIlroy. It was like, Rory McIlroy needs to comb his hair. He looks like a rural hillbilly or something.
And then to put that on there, I mean, talking about losing it. I mean, why?
That was funny. I think it's funny. Geez. All right, well, we're going to take one phone call, and that's going to be Dennis. Dennis, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing all right.
Sorry to make you wait. We were just blabbing.
Well, sorry to take it in a different direction, too.
Sure.
I've been reading with some curiosity about this transaction between the Little Cal Commission and My Energy Corp. And I've been...
Ooh, nice segue, Dennis.
I've been scratching my head a little bit over how that transaction serves the constituents of the Little Cal River Commission, particularly in light of it being reported that it's sort of with a shyster company there. And then also I was curious how you guys on the board handled the conflict of interest that exists for the director between having to serve his constituents on one side of the transaction and having some close friends on the other side of the transaction.
All right. Hey, listen.
Okay, so which question do you want me to answer?
Hold on a second.
Well,
hold on a second. No,
time.
Dennis, we don't have the time, and B, the show is tomorrow, I believe, of the Little Cal Commission. So
yeah, I asked him that 2 weeks ago, and he hung up on me. So I was hoping Bill might.
I'll answer it.
Light on it.
Which one do you want me to answer? Pick one.
Either one. I don't.
Well, I forgot about it.
My Energy Corp. What is it?
I know about it. And how does it help the watershed? So when we looked at that deal initially, we didn't sell the land, so we still controlled the land in case it was needed for flood control later. And it was strictly based upon the fact that it was going to generate revenue for the commission as a whole on land that wasn't deemed as being necessary for flood control per the Army Corps of Engineers. And it was before there was a school in a truck route manufacturing area, and it was contingent upon them getting all the necessary local, state, and federal approvals to do what they wanted to do, to which at the time it was presented as a recycling facility. And I thought one of the good things, at least for my vote, that made sense was recycling was a good thing. Isn't that what we're all trying to do, is be more green? That was the answer.
I think if you, I think they're going to have a hard time hitting their recycling standards.
Well, I'm not doing that part of it.
Yeah.
So I hope that helped.
All right, we're out of time. All right, we got to go. Billy Baker's got to go. I believe it's the Munster or it's the Lake County Republicans that by this time up next, I'm going to go in the back and I'm going to fill out about 5 pieces of paper and send them to the government and just make sure that we get all this done and add another layer of regulation to the whole thing. In the meantime, the loop goes down and iHeartMedia goes down. One day someone's going to hear, just deregulate radio and everything will be fine. Anyways, Baker, thanks for listening to me.
Schmedley, nice seeing you again. And hey, everybody, remember, life's too short not to laugh more. Make it a great week.
All right. Hey, Andy Quinnell's up next. He's going to take this microphone. I'm out. I want to thank you guys once again. Thanks to everybody who pitched in while I was gone. And I can't tell you how good it is to be back. I'll be back, I believe, on the air at about 11 a.m. just on Facebook Live and Twitter. And that will be for my sports broadcasting class. And I'll see you later. Bye.
Do you have a family history of heart disease or diabetes? St. Catherine Hospital Cardiovascular Prevention Center providers are offering free assessments to help determine your risk for heart disease and other related medical conditions. On Mondays, Tuesdays,